Hey there, everyone. How is it going? Happy New Year. Happy January. Happy Movie Monday. How's it going? We are back. Realcast Podcast.
This is our front. The back's over here. This is the back. You can't see our back.
William's back, as you can see. William is full front.
This is the back of my front. The front of my back. There we go.
William is over here giving us a full frontal. And and we are here back with the Wheelcast Podcast. Welcome, guys. Wild Bill. Like that. It's the reason he has that name, right? So, man, how have you guys been?
Had a lot of caffeine. I still got more down there.
Yeah, me too. So we're a little bit loopy. Just blame it on the caffeine.
Yeah.
So
caffeine sugar rush.
So how have you guys been? It's been a while. We took a little bit of a break through December and kind of partway through November and everything. Yep. So yeah, it took a little bit of a break. Mm-hmm. December felt like it flew. I don't know about you, but December felt like it flew by for me.
Yeah, it is kind of was like December starting, all of a sudden January.
Yeah, it was like December was like that guy that December was like the dude that came in and it was like 5 o'clock on a Friday, and he was like, you just looked up and he was just gone.
Mm-hmm. December, it felt like Friday, and then you're like, yeah, it's a week. Monday, what?
Yeah,
because like, what happened to the weekend?
Exactly.
I mean, it's one of those fast weekends. You know what I'm talking about. We've all had those, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's like, yay, it's Friday. I can. All of a sudden, it's like Sunday night at 11. Like, did I pass out? What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Did I drink too much? I mean, what's going on? You know? And you're like,
it's like Thanksgiving was over. You turned around, Happy New Year, huh?
Pretty much. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had a comedy show.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve,
right.
Saturday before New Year's Eve.
Right. That was fun.
The crowd was great. The crowd was great. But man, it was here.
Gone.
It was like boom. All of a sudden, there it is. We're here. We're ready to go. I'm like, wow, that was really fast.
Here and gone.
Yeah.
And now we're here in the middle of January, bringing you some good old fashioned movie Monday foolishness, because that's what we do. Yep. So
we're not pulling any punches, folks.
That's right.
So here's the thing: if you don't like it, then don't watch it.
Actually, no. If you don't like it, still watch it.
I mean, I mean, in theory, you can change the chat, but don't do that.
Yeah.
He needs the likes.
Yeah.
He needs the feels and the likes. He wants the views. I mean, honestly, but seriously.
Yeah.
You can like any bad movie you want. I like some bad movies. You like that? It's fine. Yeah. It's kind of like the it's kind of like the guilty pleasure. You see that movie and you're like, gosh, I hope no one sees me watching this. But then you're like, it's like sometimes, I mean, it depends. Like me, if I'm watching a movie that's kind of particularly touching or sad, I might still get sucked into it.
Yeah.
Just I'm like,
even if the movie's not all that good, you're still like, if it just touches you in the right way.
Yeah. It can be feel good. It can be like nostalgia from when you were a kid. You're like, man, because I was like 9 years old when Star Wars, the original New Hope, or the original Star Wars before it was called that, came out, and I went with my family, and I was a kid, and that was prime time for the kid to go see the movie, because then I was like, as the ship came over and the lasers like, and I'm like,
I don't know what's happening right now. Yeah. This is awesome.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then from then on, I was a huge Star Wars fan until fairly recently. But there's still that feels and the good nostalgia from that I can go back and watch, before the Solo changes and all the other changes and stuff. So I still remember those, and I still got the original, like VHS and the DVDs.
Don't tell people that, man. They'll come find you for that. That is a hot commodity.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what did they take? My DVDs, man. And what else? Oh no, they left the place kind of tiny.
Yeah, they actually cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like because I mean I'll say I'm a nerd.
Yeah,
you're a nerd. I mean, I'm looking at your. I'm looking at his videos, who are very nicely organized, actually, by the way. And so I imagine the people like, well, we don't want to make a mess. I mean, he's got all the GI Joes in a sequence. We can't do that. That would just be mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. It's like no. And then the Futuramas and whatever. Like, oh no.
Yeah,
but we are gonna steal the Star Wars.
That's Star Wars. So without the CGI add-ins, like original edition, it's like.
Now I will say this about the Star Wars: A New Hope. Other than the Solo shooting second just didn't make any sense because then the character doesn't develop. Some of the other changes were actually pretty good. I mean, there was quite a few that were actually pretty good. I think some were unnecessary in like some spots, like the solo shooting.
Yeah, solo shooting second. The animal that walked in front of the camera.
Yeah, some of those I'm like, come on, you don't need to do that. I mean, there was enough there. Yeah. Oh, adding in Jabba the Hutt. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just didn't work. It just did not work.
Because he's literally giving the same lines over again that he already gave.
He just said, yeah. So that's why they cut it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, other than the scene really didn't work, he already said those lines. So yeah, he just cut that out. I think Empire Strikes Back, they did the least amount of changes.
Yeah, there was like some.
Most was Cloud City.
Yeah, they added the windows.
The Clouds. Oh, but some of that was really good.
Yeah.
Cutting the interior to make it exterior shots. I don't know if that was really needed.
Yeah.
They kept the guy with the ice cream maker. That's always great. It was really funny. They should have like a bunch of them around. That would have been great. Like, it's really the guy with the ice cream maker. I don't know. But
there was one in A New Hope that I'm like, if they added anything, then this was probably the best thing to add. Was when Han is chasing the stormtroopers,
yes, yeah.
and then they turn, and then he catches up, and he had Armada. It is like,
it didn't make, well, in the original movie, it made no sense that he just stopped because they were chasing them, and they didn't like get reinforcements to say, oh no, there's more of them. They were the same guys.
Yeah.
Until he ran into the barracks, because you got to admit, it's got to be a barracks.
Yes,
right? It's got to
exactly.
be. I mean, and it's a giant space station, so it's got to be a place where they're hanging out.
Exactly.
So it could have been a day room, could have been barracks, and it was the bay, barracks bay or whatever. Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, so
and then,
I'm like,
these
okay,
things will last like, oh, that would make you turn around and run.
exactly.
I get it. So yeah, that one I totally got. I bought. But some of the other ones were good. Some didn't need it.
Yeah.
But some were just. So.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway.
Take what you can get.
Yes. So
take
now
what you
we're
can get now.
waxing nostalgic.
Yes. So.
What do you want to tell them? I mean, about stuff or whatever.
Yeah, we got a pretty long show for you today, but we're going to try to keep it as short as possible. But it's going to be a fairly long show. We got to talk about our favorites from 2018. We're going to talk about our top 3 plus an honorable mention or 2 if we have it. We're also going to talk about The Mule, which was the last movie that I believe we both saw in 2018. Is that correct? Okay. So yeah, The Mule is the last movie we both saw in 2018. The first movie that we both saw in 2019, together anyway, is the movie Glass. Not sure if everyone is familiar with that or anything, but we'll get you caught up to speed on that.
I'm not going to do any. We can do spoilers for Glass.
For Glass,
I don't.
There's just that one I would probably talk about because the Deadpool death. We'll get into that though. But.
Well, we don't have to say who. We don't have to say the
exactly.
We can just say that it was like, okay, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And then if we have time, we might give you a quick update review on Aquaman.
We'll dip our toes in the Aquaman pool.
There you go. So yeah, that's our show. We got quite a bit of a lineup for you guys. We're going to go ahead and get into it, but first we got to do some house clean. I'm thinking about cleaning the house now. So, housekeeping.
I told you, nerd, very tidy, very tidy. Seriously, you got to do something like that. Like, no,
so if you're not already, then you probably didn't participate in. If you're not following us on the social media, you didn't participate in the polls that we had going on over like the break. We're talking about like, what is your favorite movie that came out in 2018? Well, you couldn't vote for it because you're not following us.
Right.
So you gotta follow us on the social media. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at McBlam Entertainment, Twitter at McBlam ENT. If you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at Mr. McBlam on Twitter or on Instagram at Mikey McBlam. Bill, where can they go if they want to find something funny?
Well,
safe for work funny.
Well, we don't know these people, so I don't know. There's all kinds of inappropriate innuendos people throw in there. However, I will say this: I see improv, not Iowa City, but intellectually challenged. That is 2 of us. There's others that are not here doing their thing, whatever they might be doing. Heather is going to be traveling, so we will see her here and there. But I will say this. Wow, we have a lot of shows in February.
Yes, we do.
And you were like, I can't do all those shows. I was like, come on. Yes, you can. Just don't want to. I was like, I don't really want to either, but they're going to give us money, so why not do that?
Yeah.
Why would you not want that? I don't know. But hey, if you don't want money, then don't need the money. just do the show. But anyway, yeah, gosh, wow.
Yeah.
We have some crazy shows coming up. So first in February 9th, if you are in the lower Virginia, upper North Carolina, northeast, so like the lower northeast of Virginia Beach in that area, upper part of North Carolina, it's going to be at the Hertford, they're called, something Moon Theater. I forget, but it's in Hertford, North Carolina. It's like New Moon Theater. It's like a small theater, but man, they actually have some pretty good, stuff coming there. I mean, they're not, they're not paying us pennies. They're paying us, money to do the show. We're not super professional, and you can tell by looking at us and listening to us that we sometimes just ramble on.
Yeah.
But we're kind of funny sometimes.
Sometimes
I fall down a lot, so that's kind of funny, right? Yeah. But yeah, so was it February 9th? We're to be at the Hertford Theater up there in Hertford, North Carolina.
Right.
Kind of a small little town, but there's not much going on around there. So and it's not far from Virginia. You could get there in like half an hour. So it's pretty cool.
There you go.
On February 15th, we're doing the day after Valentine's Day show at a Moose Lodge in Winterville, North Carolina.
Yep.
They're going to pay us and they're going to feed us. That's even
Yeah.
better.
Come on. They got food.
Guys are like, well, you can keep the money. We want food. Yeah, what you got? Got some food? Yeah, it's like, guys, food. Just like guys are like dogs. Dogs like, what you got? I was like, I want that. I want that. I want that. Yeah,
We'll work for hot dogs.
Yeah.
Or veggie dogs in my case.
Veggie dogs in my case, but I don't eat the pork stuff. So
Yeah.
beef hot dogs or veggie. I mean, veggie hot dogs. Some of those are pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
My wife eats them because she's vegetarian. Some of them are pretty. And then on the 23rd of February, wow, we got something every single thing. And I'll even tell you about the March show too. February 23rd, we're at our regular home at the Turnage Theater, the historic
Beautiful Turnage Theater.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's one of the original, it's still there. It fell in disrepair years ago, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, but they fixed it up. It's gorgeous. Wow, it's gorgeous. One of the old original vaudeville theaters. That's actually upstairs. They're going to be working to fix back in the day that all kinds of crazy acts would come there, vaudeville type theater back in the 30s, I think it was. But check us out. If you go to I.C. Improv on Facebook, you'll see us there. And then we're having on March 9th, we're having the Washington Comedy Fest, which is our second annual one. Because we had one last year. Yep. We're going to have several stand-up comedians coming. Some fairly well-known ones. Last year we had Shari Diaz, funny girl, very funny. Wow, she's funny. Just a Hispanic female comedian, but just very engaging, very funny. And another a fairly well-known in the East, I cannot remember his name, but Jake Weddle, who's a comedian in this area, has been organizing that. So we got a lot showing off. We got the Unintentionals, hopefully coming back from Raleigh. Very funny. And hopefully Bird and Josh.
Yeah. Maybe PSL come out there, Pineapple Shade Lamps, hopefully.
I hope. I'm going to invite people from Greenville Group. Tucker should be there. Maybe Lee if he comes, maybe. But I'm trying to get everybody to have like an all-stars improv like we had last time. We had people from Raleigh. We had people from other like Raleigh area, because Matt White was in it, so and he's kind of Raleigh, but other places too. Right. I had people from Wilmington, and then like I said, folks from Raleigh with the Unintentionals. They do mostly family-friendly stuff. But they do as the group, they're family-friendly, but. They jumped in on the adult show, man, and they cut loose, and it was great. But here's the thing.
Lots of funny stuff.
Yeah, it was. They didn't use like a lot of bad languages, but they were just very physical, very engaging, and just the characters they created was so funny. The crowd had a great time before a comedian from somewhere destroyed all the laughter and made people leave, sort of, like not a lot, but you saw the video.
Yeah.
And then Shari Diaz and Matt White came and killed. It was awesome. They totally saved that show, and I'm always appreciative of Matt White and Shari Diaz. And I think it's pronounced Shadi Diaz, so I apologize if I'm mispronouncing Miss Diaz's name. So because she's really funny and totally worth seeing. And the ticket prices are $10. Yeah. For the Washington Comedy Fest. Yeah. And it's not a lot going on in Washington because it's a small town, but it's a beautiful town. We are one of the top 10 towns for a Main Street Makeover from a Home and Garden show. Nice. I think it's called Main Street Makeovers. Okay. So we're one of the top 10.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay. So those folks are going to be coming down. They're going to be checking out the Washington area, the downtown area, next couple of weeks. We just had another Home and Garden show come by, talking about, just all kinds of weird things happening in Washington right now. We are the original Washington.
Yeah,
the
there you
first
go.
city named after George Washington.
That's right.
People call us
Little Washington.
Little Washington because of the big Washington. But see, no one says Washington. They say
Little Washington.
no, not our city, the other one.
Oh, DC.
They say DC. They
Yeah.
don't say Washington.
Yeah, exactly.
They say DC. Everybody knows what DC is. They don't say Washington DC unless you're being very formal.
Right.
And that'd be someone like us would probably say that. But you're from the upper area. You wouldn't say that. You would say,
it's
you're going to DC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're Washington. They're DC. We're the original Washington, named after George Washington in 1776. So suck it, DC. Copycat. Loser. Doppelganger.
Which DC you talking about now?
Oh, that. No, not that DC. That DC.
That DC's got its own problems. Leave that DC
It
alone.
does. Yeah, I shouldn't beat that.
Leave
I shouldn't
them
beat the
alone.
DH, which is the dead horse that is, the DC problems. But, there's too many to go into.
Like that old Britney Spears video. Leave DC alone.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we got a lot going on.
Yeah, we're gonna-
in our
busy.
comedy bubble.
Yes.
In the comedy kingdom.
Gonna be very, very busy. And don't worry, you
Busy.
said you can still see us right here on McBlam Entertainment on YouTube and on our website. Don't forget to visit there, www.mcblamentertainment.com, where you can see these full-length videos in all their full glory.
Yeah,
So-
eat before you come though, because it's really long. It's like a long 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to the bathroom. Don't
Yep.
drink a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Now, look, good thing is you can pause us.
Yeah, there you go.
As long like a movie, you got to run and
There you
go
go.
pee really quickly, like on the fly and come back.
And you got when you pause us, you gotta make sure you pause us in like an awkward position so you can.
That's always funny. Yeah.
So
You know what's funny too is like I wonder if people thought about this back in the day because technology is always changing and you can get stuff on your phone, whatever. But now a lot of times you pause a show. It's almost like you always pause it at a weird
at the
thing.
weird spot.
And, you're
Yeah.
like, and so when you see news articles, you always see, I don't know, like whoever they show like the most unflattering picture
Yes.
of the guy or the person or
Right.
whatever they're talking about when someone's going through. And back in the day, it used to be a doctored photo, like on the National Enquirer or the Weekly World News or something
Right.
kind of blurred,
Right.
weird looking thing. Now it doesn't have to be doctored. It just you freeze frame it at like someone yelling in a movie, and you go,
it's
so and so, has lost their mind.
So there,
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you see the picture, they're going, and then see, pause it
right there.
And so, so if I decide to run for public office, you go, this guy's crazy.
Yes, exactly.
And I go, I might be,
Exactly.
but that's just a face I made when I was making a point. And you can't prove it other than,
Other than it's on the internet, but
Yeah.
still, context. You gotta be careful, man.
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
be careful. But I mean, what's the fun in being careful sometimes? Just like
I'm not even going to
I'm
do
like,
that.
yeah.
I'm not, no.
it's like I might wind up on a meme somewhere. I'm like, that's cool.
Well,
I'm
it's like,
flattered.
Well, it's like I was commenting on somebody's thing on Facebook, and they were like, "Why are you trying to sound like an authoritarian and tell us blah 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 blah?" And I'm like, and they said something like, "That's your opinion." I go, "Yes, because I'm the one stating it." I don't know how else to say that. If I state something, and it's me stating it, not like I have to say I'm going to state this, and it's my opinion. I'm stating it, therefore, it is my opinion, and I'm not gonna like do this weird kind of silly other nonsense to say, well, in my personal view, I personally feel that I think. No, if I'm saying it, then it's opinion. If I'm saying Mike's opinion, I'll say, well, Mike Bean had this opinion about it,
Right.
and I would say what he said,
Right.
because then that would be me speaking for him. If I'm speaking for myself, that's my opinion. Or if I say, well, this is a fact because blah, 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 and give citing information.
Exactly.
Like writing a paper, you go, I
Right.
got it from this source, blah, 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 blah. Ta-da, that's what you go, well, I read this article in this Psychology Today journal thing, and then blah, blah, blah. But if I go, this is what I'm saying, then that's what I'm saying. And that's my thoughts and my opinion. Why would I have to
Thank you.
clarify it any more than that?
Because it's the internet, man.
No, I reject, I refuse, and I guarantee you right now, people are going to be liking the mess out of that comment right there because they're going to go, holy freaking crap, I cannot like this. Because that's truth.
That's truth.
Man. That's truth.
the
It's
honest
flat out.
truth.
If you're
Yep.
saying it, that's you saying it. That's your
Yep.
opinion.
That's
no
true.
problem. Unless you go, and here are some factual information backing this up.
Right.
If I can find several things, in other words, it's kind of like the news thing. You know, these people like talking about the deep state, mainstream media, and all these weird kind of things. I'm like, man, when you start talking like that, I'm just like, okay, well, where's the proof? Show me something. I said, and like I said to somebody the other day online, again online. I don't cuss. I don't, I just go, well, this doesn't. The facts don't bear that out because of these things. Well, it sounds like you're listening to the mainstream media, and I'm like, well, when a multitude of organizations say this thing and they pretty much are all the same, I think that's probably true, or at least mostly true.
Close to the fact.
Compared to one person saying something like Hillary Clinton and her Democratic cronies are having a child sex slave ring out of a pizza place in D.C. where they ship children in from Mars. And I'm like, so either that's true or all these other people saying no. And I'm like...
And everybody's looking that up now. Like,
although the crazy guy with the gun broke into the D.C. pizza place to try to set the Martian slave children free. Because people are crazy. And you didn't have to have the internet for that. They were crazy out there talking and gibbering to themselves in the yard before the internet.
That's true. Very true.
But if everybody says this thing, like if everybody says this movie's good, doesn't necessarily mean the movie's good. Remember, that's subjective. We can say, well, these things, like the Star Wars movies, there were a lot. It's like, and then somebody go, well, I still like it. I go, guess what? That's cool.
Yeah.
If you still like it, that's fine. Like I said, we like bad movies, but we understand they're bad.
Right.
But we like them because even though they're bad, there are, I don't know.
There's just something about them that appeals to
us.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. There are bad movies that have good acting.
Yes.
There are bad movies that have good characters. And not everybody is good actor-wise, but there's some scenes like, wow, it's really good. So you can pull really good acted scenes, and you can have great actors in really bad movies, or you can have a really kind of a bad premised movie, but the people interacting and the actors and stuff themselves
makes you buy it.
Yeah, we're like, wow, this is really underrated, or was kind of like one of those, sleeper hits.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, I'll say like, wow, that's really good. And you look down, you watch like the movie's over.
Yeah,
you're like, not like, oh my god, is this movie over yet? And it's like you said about when we said about one of the Star Wars recent ones, we were like, it felt long, didn't it? We're like, yeah, it felt really long.
Oh yeah, that was Last Jedi.
It was Last Jedi.
That was Last Jedi. I was just like,
we're like, man,
I was tired.
Yeah,
but I wasn't. It wasn't like I was tired because of like the action. I was just tired because I'm like, this movie is just dragging, man.
Yeah, and here's the thing: we saw The Mule.
Yes,
it was a long movie.
It was a long movie.
It didn't feel like it was a long movie though. We were like, now of course we were at the Alamo Ale House, or Alamo Draft House in Raleigh, so we were like being inundated with food and drink. So we were like, yeah. But realistically speaking, the characters, the way it was shot, kind of like M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, the look of the movie, the music, I mean, the feel, it didn't make it feel like drawn out and lagging and just kind of, because everything was, the editing was tight, the shots were good, it was the frame, the background, the imagery, it just was all
don't give away your spoil. Don't give away your review yet, man.
No. I'm just saying in general, it was a well put together film.
Yeah, and
the acting and all that stuff was really good.
But because of that, you didn't feel the length of it.
No. And like like other things about the Last Jedi and the other ones, some of the plot stuff didn't make sense, and then it kind of was like, I don't know, just kind of disjointed, and then you're like, what's going on? I have no idea. But anyway,
I think that's what draws a lot of people to it, the acting in general, because I mean, I cannot say, I'm like, man, I understand the frustrations behind like changing Luke from episode 6 to this particular movie, but I'm like, he sold the heck out of it, man. I'm like, he sold the heck out of it. He acted the hell out of it, but that does not excuse the film itself.
Right.
But he was good in it. It's just like, you can't really, I was like, you can say like, okay, yeah, the acting was actually really good in this movie. I can see why a lot of people bought into it.
Right.
But it doesn't change the actual quality of the film and the writing of the film.
No. So. But that's the thing too about directors. Remember, you do what the director says, because you have an idea for the character, and that's fine. You got to run it by the director. He might go, I don't know. Yeah. Kind of like Rian Johnson said, oh, no, because, remember Mark Hamill, that whole thing.
Right.
But I would say this about that. If you're going to base it off of something that's already established, my opinion, completely my opinion, obviously I'm stating it, so it's my opinion, is if you're going to cast people who have played that character for a number of years, they know more about the character than you. because they played it for a number of years, and they have, you know, the encyclopedia because that's who they are.
Right.
Why are you going to tell them not to do something that feels like the right thing to do? That, I mean, you got some directors who are very kind of hands-on, very fastidious, like, oh no, I want you to do this, 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 this. Mm-hmm. Some are just like, well, I want you to be, you know, I want you to do this in the scene. Mm-hmm. And you kind of do what you want. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's better, but sometimes the fastidious thing is like you get to pull out the performance you want in that particular scene, or
right.
you know, that kind of part of the film in the context or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I just would think if you've got an established actor who's done a lot of things, or especially that one character, you know, because it's pretty much. I mean, Mark Hamill's known for other things, but that's his main character. I mean, he's known for a lot of voices, which he's great at, obviously.
Yes,
but
very.
I don't know. I just think he's kind of the authority on that. You know, I don't know. And then if he's not doing something in that particular scene or context, you might go, well, can you maybe, I don't know, make him less interested or more annoyed or something. A little fine tuning is fine because just the director's job. But don't tell him, go, oh no, the character's now like this, and you're like, what?
Yeah, because there was
so like ignore everything he did in the last 3 movies, and now he's completely different. I'm like, I don't know. That means basically that Luke is it never developed as a character at that point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, well, no, that was just a fluke, and then I'm really kind of back to being, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing, kind of, you know, blah blah blah. You know, the original farm boy. Well, I guess life won't get any better.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, but that's my opinion because I'm stating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, topics for another day.
Yeah.
Topics for another day. But now let's talk about some happy stuff. Let's talk about some things we enjoyed in 2018. Let's talk about some things. We're going to go into our top 3
And like in comedy, we're going to end on a high note.
Yeah, there we go.
You don't end on a low note. Like, oh, that was good.
We're going to go into our top 3 movies that we enjoyed, like our favorites from 2018. And with, like I said, there might be 1 or 2 honorable mentions in there. We'll just have to see. But actually, let's start with that first. What is your honorable mention, William?
Oh, cool. Well, we talked about this before we started recording. And my honorable mentions, plural.
Okay.
Green Book.
Got 2 of them. Okay.
Yeah, Green Book, because my friend Vaughn Lewis is in the movie. Now, of course, you got 2 great actors right there on screen, obviously. Right. One's an Oscar winner. I don't know about Viggo Mortensen. Might have been an Oscar nominee. I think. I'm not sure, but I think his name is Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure how to pronounce the first name.
Right.
The last name was easy.
Yeah.
I know Ali. But Vaughn Lewis was in it. He played Bobby Rydell, and he actually sings, so he's on the soundtrack, which is really cool.
Nice.
He's right at the beginning of the film singing the Copacabana.
Nice.
The second honorable mention would be The Front Runner.
Yeah.
Again, we've heard good things about both movies, but they never came to this area of North Carolina.
Yes.
So we missed them because they just were like limited release, and they were released at the end of the year, kind of for Oscar buzz, starring Hugh Jackman. And on our picture here on the right, that is the right to them, or is that the left to them? You said it was.
That's the right to them.
Okay, so on the right is our friend Lee Armstrong, who he's a character actor, and he's done, quite a little bit of this and that, and he's been doing TVs and movies since off and on since the 1980s. I mean, he was on HBO's Not Necessarily the News, so that'll tell you how long he's been around, and he's been in movies with Whoopi Goldberg and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. He's in an episode of Veep. I mean, he's done a lot of little things. And he was in The Front Runner. He played like one of the smarmy, slimy journalists trying to get the goods on Hugh Jackman's character, which is from the 1980s. It was who was the guy? It was Donna Rice, and he was the Democratic. He was the front runner at that time before he got smeared in scandal for having an affair with Donna Rice. There was a picture of him with her on his lap in front of a boat called the Monkey Business that was splashed all over the tabloids and all over the newspapers, and that kind of derailed his bid for president choice. And I gotta remember Gary Hart. His name was Gary Hart. Yeah, I was trying to remember his name. It was easy to remember. I was like, I can't remember that. But yeah, that was a great picture of Lee and Hugh Jackman sitting next to each other between shots, and I like the look they had between them. It was kind of funny. So, but yeah, Lee's always rubbing elbows with these big name directors, and he was in Lee was in one of the Farley Brothers movies, and the Farley Brothers just loved him. The
Three Stooges movie,
and the Farley Brothers just loved him, and Lee just did simple things, and they were laughing. But that's Lee. I mean, Lee is a naturally gifted comedian guy. Really good at improv too.
Yes.
So he sometimes plays with us improv wise, and like because we have a Hollywood big wig with us. I mean, he's a character actor, but you know what? Hey, he's got jobs.
He makes it work, man.
He's on TV and films more than you and I are.
Yeah, so that's the truth.
He's made more money than you and I have at TV. So.
Yeah. So those are your honorable mentions.
Yeah, is this your honorable mention?
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into it. So my top 3 were actually pretty easy to pick. But when it came down to like the honorable mention, I was just like, crap. All right, all y'all line up now. I was like, there has been so many movies that were just average.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, meh, this was fine. Meh, this was fine. And then there was other movies that I was like, oh, it's pretty good. And then I started and watched it again. I was like, yeah, no. But there was one movie that stood out that is just so horrible.
Oh, wow, your honorable
so
mention is
horrible.
bad
Yes, it is so horrible. It's hilarious.
That's what I heard about this. That's what I heard about
It is so horrible, and I had to. It's not going to be on anybody's best of list.
No.
Not going to be on anybody's best of list. But look, I will go ahead and say my honorable mention is Jurassic World 2. Fallen Kingdom. It is that title is very metaphorical for this franchise.
Well, can we give a shout out to another reviewer? Is it okay to give? Go
ahead.
Professor Tosspot on Vox.
Okay.
He does the little puppet guy. Brilliant, funny guy. If you've not seen it, go check it out. It's so funny. Now, it's not safe for work. His language is very, very brutal. And he says things that are inappropriate, completely inappropriate, but he says them at the appropriate times, which makes it even funnier. But he talked about this movie, for example, just because you mentioned it, talking about how you're using some kind of velociraptors as assassin dinos or something. And he's like, if there was only something easier and cheaper to use, like a gun, to do that, instead of pointing. And he said, well, if you point a laser pointer at them and then the dinosaurs attack them, he goes, so they're only slightly smarter than a cat.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
they're a house cat, basically. Like the thing's a house cat. And
he said that, and I'm like, that can't be true. And I talk to him, he goes, yeah.
And
I'm like, oh my God.
Don't worry, because this actually is a Jurassic Park actually does have a semi-small comic book series, so there will be a review of this at some point. But this movie is just so insane. Like I watched it, and like the first time I'm like, "Are you serious?" It starts off really bad, but I'm just like, "Are you serious?" And then by the end, I am just dying. I am just knocking my mic over right now.
So it's a movie that was one of your guilty pleasures, I guess.
Yes, yes. It's definitely going to be up there.
Do you remember the old, I think it came out in the 80s, Fright Night?
Yes.
Did you ever see one? That's kind of a...
Michael J. Fox?
Fright Night.
Michael J. Fox is Frighteners, right?
Yeah, Frighteners.
Okay, Fright Night.
This is the 80s.
Fright Night was that the vampire?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
So it's like I think his name is something Ragsdale. I won't say Jay Ragsdale, but that was a guy in high school. Something Ragsdale was the actor. But, Chris Sarandon was the vampire guy. That's one of those guilty pleasures where it's kind of bad, but it's kind of good. Because you're like, don't do that, no. And then the person does it, like they almost hear you and they go, oh, I'm not going to go to the window, that's stupid. And you go, oh my God, he heard me. I mean, it's just, and Roddy McDowell is one of his last film roles, I think. Roddy McDowell plays the vampire hunter guy, and just some of the things he does because he's an actor. He's not a real actual vampire, right? He's an actor.
Right.
But just kind of the drama, overacting he does. And you're just like, oh my God, it's funny. And you go, but it's real. And you're like, so it's funny, but in that situation, you're like, oh, that's not going to turn out well for him. But stuff like that is just great.
It's not on that level.
Isn't? Okay.
This is more like if you ever watch any of those really bad Asylum sci-fi original movies, this is extremely close to that, if not just as bad.
Wow.
Like it's just that insane to where I'm just like I said, at the end, I'm just dying laughing. And I'm like, are you serious, movie? Who put this out? And it's just like, on a serious note, if I was so attached to the franchise, because like so by the time the third one came out, I was kind of like, I don't care about this much anymore. But like I didn't really care. I mean, the second one I was like, all right. The third one I'm just like, why do we have a third one? Then they're releasing Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom now. I'm like, I don't really care, so I'm not attached to this. So I can look at this and laugh. But if I was attached to this series, man, I'm surprised. I'm surprised this hasn't become like the Last Jedi of Jurassic World, where people are just like are so mad and everything. But I'm just like, I don't know, but yeah, that's definitely it's up there. Like I said, it's not going to be on anyone's. But to me, it was just like I watched it twice. And like I might actually buy this if I see it in a bargain bin somewhere. If I see it, I might actually buy this because it's just so terrible. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the actual movies that we actually enjoyed for good reasons. So, what would you say is your number 3?
Well, these are going to not
in any particular order. Okay.
Here's the thing. I think I mentioned this before. I don't really have a favorite thing, like specific. Like I don't have a favorite science fiction movie. I mean, I like the Star Wars series. There's quite a few. So if I like, I could watch this or this, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And like music, I think like a lot of people, they might have a favorite band, right? But maybe not necessarily a favorite song. So they'll go like, well, I like this song now. I like this song now. It's like I've gotten to a lot of. Again, I was alive in the 70s, as I mentioned, because I watched Star Wars when I was 9. So some of the early 70s music that I missed, I'm catching up on now. I'm like, there's some really cool psychedelic 70s funk hard rock from Africa when a lot of the Western colonizers had kind of control of those countries. And so some of those are really good. And I'm just kind of like, oh, this is really amazing because the internet's great for that. So I might go, wow, this is really cool now. Then I might go, okay, I got enough of that. And I'll listen to the other thing. So in no particular order. Okay. Which one? You pick one and I'll just go with it.
All right. Well, I will actually give you my number, what's taking my number 3 spot. Okay. Which is actually going to be Avengers Infinity War.
That's one of mine. That's one of mine, sure.
So obviously this movie, like, just kind of, it was one of those movies that really took the world by storm when it came out. Right. Because everyone was super hyped for this. Everyone was like, this is the first time all of the characters are going to be in this movie. And we're going to get to see Thanos. Thanos is going to be the big bad villain and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And the more, the closer it got to it, the more I was actually getting worried. I was like, I don't know. And then it legitimately, genuinely surprised me.
In a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
In a very good way. So yeah, that definitely takes the number 3 spot. It was fun. It was it knew when to get serious, which is not I cannot say that for a lot of the other Marvel movies. It knew when to get serious.
Or the DC movies.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. That's
another story.
Yeah, but like it knew when to like get serious, stay serious, and bring you some some genuinely surprising moments.
Very well. I mean, well, here's the thing. Like we talked about this a little bit. It's like you were surprised, but then you were like, okay, I can see that. But then you were like, oh, I didn't see that. Yes. So you were sort of surprised and go, okay, well, yeah, not surprised, and then went, oh. Yeah, that's surprising.
Exactly.
So it surprised you within the surprise sometimes.
Yeah.
Which was very, very cool.
Yeah.
I liked it.
You said that was that's one of yours too. Yep.
Just because, first of all, it was a long movie, but didn't really feel long because you cut away to a lot of the different characters. Everybody, was really good in terms of the characters.
Yep.
Some things were, like I said, were surprising. Love the cameo for Stan Lee as the bus driver. What do you?
Yeah.
You ever seen a spaceship in New York City before? Because obviously he was to the other one. Just all the kind of turnarounds and things, and a lot of it. And I'll be honest with you, when you saw it and you watched it, you're like, I don't know if that's really something's different, because you're like, oh, well, why didn't Loki do this? He's the trickster, or maybe he did. Why didn't Doctor Strange do this? He had the time stone. He could have done the time thing like Thanos did. Oh, wait a minute. There's another movie. Maybe he did something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Interesting. So there's something going to happen.
Yeah.
We know something has to change. We've seen previews. So we don't know. And so it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. And This is kind of like those movies that like have everything kind of disjointed and telling separate stories, and then they kind of come together. And I think it came together really, really well.
And there like there's been a lot of complaints like there's a lot going on. There's just so much going on and stuff like that.
And we all know some scenes that we were like, "Why did you do that, you stupid idiot?"
Yeah, but
you want to straight up and strangle them.
The funny thing was always like when I was, I was doing the polls and stuff online, which I'll get to later. I'll show you what the fans voted for and everything, what their favorite one was. But the funny thing was online, on Twitter, it's like, especially on Twitter, people were just like, man, there's just so much going on in Infinity War. I'm like, I couldn't really follow what was happening all the time and stuff. Like, there's so many characters. There's not a lot of development for these people and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's, I understand. Sorry you didn't enjoy it. I'm like, how many MCU movies have you watched? He's like, well, like 3. I'm like, that is your own fault by that point.
Because, here's the thing: this movie, it didn't set anything up. It already jumped in the middle of the story.
Yeah,
it really did.
Well, here's the thing: is like, would you watch like the first 3 episodes of a 22 episode season and then jump right into the last episode and be like,
no,
I don't know what's happening? Like, yeah, because you skipped half of it.
All. Yeah, the movie just started right at kind of where the some of the other ones left off. Like almost immediately. Yeah. I think we're one of the Thor Ragnarok
left off.
Yeah,
yep.
Right there. Boom. You're in the middle of it already. So
it's like you better. There's that's the 19th movie in the franchise. Yeah. I'm just like, if you haven't seen them all, if you don't understand what's going on, then that's your own fault at this point. Sorry to say it, but I'm just like, hey, just do your homework before you go see these movies. It's not like Black Panther. You can go see like, oh, it's a self-contained story, whatever. Right. That's fine. No, this is a all-encompassing film. So I'm like, hey, look, if you don't understand who these characters are, what their motivations are, and stuff like that, I'm like, go watch.
Yep.
This stuff will make a whole lot more sense if you just do that. Yep. So yeah, that's would definitely be.
That's one of my favorites.
Yep, that's one of your favorites. One of my
honestly,
favorites.
I can watch that again. In fact, I just watched it the other day.
You did?
I did. I watched it again.
Okay.
Just because I was like, this is really good.
Yeah.
There were parts I was like, argh, and there were parts I was like, oh. And then sometimes I didn't really miss anything necessarily. Because, I try to, if we're reviewing, I'll jot notes down and stuff. So I'm paying really close attention.
Yeah.
And, because we've done some acting and, I've done some really, bad film acting. Yeah. But at the same time, I've studied a lot. So I kind of get... like the character developments and plot things, I get all that. I go, well, this is good because of this. So I was focusing more on more of the details,
right?
Because if it's bad acting, I'm just like, okay, that's really bad acting. Or this character makes no sense. I go, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
That's pretty easy to spot.
Yeah,
because I'm not just saying like, hey, I'm just sitting back and enjoying it. And again, I'm enjoying it, but I'm also critical of it because we're critiquing it. That's the whole purpose of it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I just watched it again and I was like, okay, this is really good. And I was able to kind of look in more detail, more depth because I wasn't actually jotting everything down or whatever, what's good, what's bad or something, or what's going on with that. So I was able to really just kind of look at it and kind of go, okay, and just kind of notice some of the finer details that I might have missed. Some of the I don't know, some of the background, some of the minor characters, some of the did I notice that plot twist or did something else going on there? Maybe Loki did try it. Maybe Loki isn't dead because he's a trickster.
Right.
Maybe he cloned himself or something, or maybe he made Thanos think he killed him.
True.
It's possible.
He's folded people before.
Because remember, he died before.
He died in Thor. He died in Thor 2. Yeah.
So maybe he's not really dead. Maybe he'll come back and he'll be the hero. That would be crazy cool.
You never know.
Don't know.
Never know.
We don't know. That's the part. Although I did tell you, I didn't bring. I should have worn my T-shirt. But I did have that Marvel T-shirt that has Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man on it. My wife got years ago. Okay. And those are some of the characters who still left alive after the Infinity War.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, my T-shirt predicted the future. So now, of course, they probably base it off of a comic or something, and it just could be just generic, but it's kind of
cool. Yeah.
So yeah, one of my others, or you do one of your others?
Let's see. Yeah, you do one of your others. What is one of your others?
I liked The Mule from Clint Eastwood. Flat out, you just can't. I just don't think there's too many Clint Eastwood movies that you can go wrong with. Now again, are all of them perfect? No, but daggone, he knows how to act. After this, he's definitely all these years later has the Biscotti westerns. After all the spaghetti westerns he did as an actor, and some of the ones are kind of cheesier. But doggone, as a director, man, he can frame a shot, the scenery, The music, I mean, wow, everything. The character interactions, I don't know. It was just beautiful to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I
actually,
mean, you know, like
really
the
good.
scene of him in the desert driving, and you know, interacting, like this with the drug guys, and then you know, at the beginning he's kind of like, you know, they're like stern and stuff, but he's a genuinely nice guy, and then a couple of scenes later they're like, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's good to see you, Walt. Wow, man, how's everything going? How's your brother? Oh, he's doing better. Thanks for asking, man. Because he seemed like he genuinely cared about these people, even though they were, you know, they had guns and they were kind of thugs or whatever. They kind of looked at him and they went, hey, the guy's really nice. Because he was I mean, if I read some up on the actual guy he was sort of loosely based on, everybody said he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He was a World War II veteran, got the Bronze Star. You know, he was in his late 70s, almost early 80s before he started running drugs for the cartels. And he was a flower guy. He went to these botanical things. He was gregarious and just kind of the ladies' man like he was portrayed.
Right.
But the original story took place in like Michigan in terms of, instead of, I think this one was Indiana or was it Indiana? I think no, it was Chicago. Yeah, it was Illinois. Yeah, it was Chicago.
Yeah.
But this was Detroit, the original, the true story. So it was loosely based off of that character. Some of the details had changed, but from what I read, it's like, well, they fleshed out the character in some of the things like the long drives. They didn't know what he did because there was no one to say, well, what he really did do. Because no one knew, because no one ever asked the guy, because a guy did interview him before he passed away about a story, and he wrote an article about it, but he never mentioned, well, you know, I did this when I was driving all these long distances.
Right.
So they kind of, you know, they kind of embellished a little bit, and overall though, wow, it's just so good.
Yeah.
And it was a long movie, but it didn't feel like a long movie.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize how late it was until we left.
Yeah,
I was
we were
like,
wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The characters, all the actors, oh man, they were brilliant, really great actors. Clint Eastwood, really good. You know, playing the guy trying to reconnect with his family because he'd been away because of, you know. Now again, and that wasn't part of the actual true story because apparently he and his wife are still married, and actually the guy died before his wife did.
Right.
In the real thing, but I don't know. You can use the framework for a movie like they do a lot of times, or a TV show, and still kind of make it good.
Exactly.
Even though it's not, because it's not a true biography.
Exactly.
But yeah, just wow, Clint Eastwood, doggone it, he does a good movie.
Definitely. All right, so definitely good pick for your number two. Not that number two. The good number two.
No, we talked about those number twos. We did a different thing about those.
But I'm going to talk about my number two, which happens to be a number two, a sequel that came out 14 years in the making. You know?
They weren't, you know.
Only took them 14 years to make this movie, wait for it for a long time, and I feel like they didn't disappoint. And that was definitely The Incredibles 2. Or actually, it's just Incredibles 2. They took the away for some reason, but I don't know. But it just, man, I love a lot in this movie. Like I said, the villain, yeah, could have done better with the villain. I'm not being fair there with it, but just the family dynamic, really loved it. The animation, really, really good. The sound design, I talked about this before with the sound design. Sound design was great, like really, really good. It really pulled you into the action, and like I said, a really, really good movie. There are some moments in there where it's like they're introducing questions, and it's really, you know, because it takes place in the 60s, so there's going to be some talk about it, but, you know, like with, you know, women's rights and stuff like that, which, you know, kind of does play over into today, but it's not like it doesn't like smash you over the head with it. It was just kind of like,
and we've had this discussion before. It's in the 60s, and we know not everybody had equal rights,
right?
But there was Frozone,
right?
And he was a black man played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly.
In class. So, but they mentioned that as well?
Yes.
In some ways?
Yes.
So they use it appropriately.
Yes.
They kept it within, again, if you're going to set it that time period, you have to play the good and the bad. And again, all the warts and all. And yes, there were characters we know from the 60s and 50s even, who were of different colors, or even before that, who were exceptional in terms of even, you know, anyone would say, wow, that was pretty impressive. They did that thing, I mean, unless they're just super racist, and then they wouldn't care about what they did. They could save the earth and like, well, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's like, but as long as they kept it, and like I said, we had talked about this in other movies that set in that time period of like, oh, but everything was great. It's like, no,
it wasn't. It wasn't, and that was. It was a good choice to make, in my opinion. It was a good choice to make. I enjoyed that they made Helen more of the main character in this one than they did in the previous one. They gave her more to do. They gave Frozone more to do, to be honest. But really just kind of, like I said, the family dynamic was just, some of the metaphors in there for like, because Jack was, I don't know if this is true, but Jack may have been like a metaphor for a kid with the disabilities that you got to deal with and stuff, like just different, So I was like, I really, really enjoyed this movie.
But let me ask you this, because they did kind of a Mr. Mom role reversal with he's now got to take care of the kids.
Yes.
Isn't that kind of done to death though? I mean, in general already. I don't know. I mean, it's a different context because you got superheroes and just Jack and all they got powers and so on. So yeah, some of it's different. The details are different, but still you get the guy who's like, I don't know how to change diapers. Well,
that's the thing. Like he knows how to change. He knows the basic stuff and everything. It's just the kids are going.
Isn't there a scene where he's trying to change the diaper and the kids run around naked or something?
No.
There isn't that? Okay. Because I was saying that's always used in every Mr. Mom kind of thing. Naked kids running down the street or something.
No, like they're not. He has to deal with Jack. Jack is all over the place with all these powers and everything like that, which he's super excited for until he realizes like how much of a handful it is.
Right.
Although
I will say that I saw the scenes with Jack and the raccoon.
Yeah.
Very funny.
That was funny.
Very funny.
That was funny.
The raccoon's like, I'm going to get you. And the kid's like, oh, yeah, you bring it on. Yeah.
So, yeah, I like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And it hasn't made my case yet, but it's definitely on the top of the list to make. You guys can't see it, but the case behind it, if you watch Comic Junkies Corner or anything like that, it's always going to be there. Yeah, you'll see him in the background. So, but yeah, it hasn't made that case yet, but it will definitely be up there before this month is out. So yeah, that's definitely taking the number 2 spot. What is? I guess it's taking
one of my other top 3.
Yes.
Netflix. I told you this. I was like, and you're like, oh yeah, what? I was like, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Really a good, like, it's an anthology, so it's a bunch of little short. That's Buster Scruggs on the screen right there. So it's the very first one, which I think is actually the best of them. There are others that are really good because there's The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. The next one is called Near Algondes, which is another little short. The Meal Ticket. That one's really dark, but it's good. It's dark, but it's good. All Gold Canyon. One guy, Tom Waits, as a gold prospector. Don't pause it right now so you don't spoil it. All the gold, it was great. I mean, he was by himself, and it was just him, the mule, and like Mother Nature.
Okay.
There was the gal who got rattled, which again, good and well acted, just very simple but dark. The Mortal Remains. I didn't like the last one. I didn't understand it. I'm assuming that they were, I don't know, Grim Reaper characters or something. It just seemed odd. Gotcha. So the ending wasn't the best, but doggone, there were some really good anthologies. And I want to say that this one and some of the others made up for the lacking of the other ones just because everything was really pretty dark. And even though this ended darkly, in a dark way, it still was the first one, the Buster Scruggs.
Right.
It was an upbeat dark ending, which is weird and it's hard to pull off, but they pulled it off. And I was like, I feel good and sad at the same time. And here's the other thing. These are anthologies, and this is why I really like this. I wanted to learn more about these characters because they were only on screen for maybe 10, 15 minutes, if even. Some were longer, some were shorter.
Yeah,
I wanted to know more about Buster Scruggs. I wanted to know more about the gold prospector, either before or after. I wanted to know more about the meal ticket, like what happened, and you know, not at the end part, but you know, because the end part is darkly.
Right.
But what happened before that, you know?
Yeah, and I haven't
some of those I wanted to see more about them.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie, but I haven't seen a good anthology movie in a long time.
Yeah,
like
now it's dark and it's bloody and gross in parts, and it's very dark in spots, but it's really well acted. And some of these don't have much dialogue.
Okay.
Like I said, the gold prospector one, he's just kind of talking to himself, or he's not talking at all, or he's just, you know, the one called The Meal Ticket.
Okay.
Liam Neeson plays plays the main character, and there's the kid from Harry Potter, the mean kid, his mean stepbrother.
Okay.
Plays the other character, and that character has almost all the lines. Liam Neeson says almost nothing, but the acting is just beautiful in these little short things. Wow, just great.
Okay.
Yeah. You will again. Some of them you're like, but overall, really good. And I think the really good ones, like the ones I mentioned, bring up the not so good ones, and overall,
or make up for it at least.
They do, and it overall, like I said, it ends a little weird, but overall, wow, it's just really good.
Okay. Awesome.
Surprising for Netflix, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, Netflix they've been doing their thing. Lately.
Yeah, but
they're not all great, but I'm just like they're
getting much better, and this is one
better.
This is one that definitely pulls them big time way up.
Yeah, definitely.
This one pulls out of some nosedives they tried to do earlier.
Yeah,
this is definitely saving.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's taken the last of your top three, and I am going to the last of my top three, which is my number one. This is actually my favorite movie of the year. It is not. I'm not going to say it's the best movie of the year, but it definitely is my favorite. It is the first time that I have seen a Rocky movie in theaters. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go ahead and go see Creed 2, because there's just, like I said, there's only so many chances you're going to get to see a Rocky movie. And I was actually starting to feel like this might be the last one. We may never see these characters on screen ever again. I mean, I know this movie made money and all that and everything, but I'm just like, the way this ended, perfect bookend. You don't have to go any farther. Like I said, there's a family dynamic in there that's really, really, really good, because Creed looks to Rocky like a dad. He's his trainer and everything like that, and calls him
kind of like Rocky looked to Mickey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it was very good. Is it predictable? Sure. Sure. I mean, like, if you've seen Rocky, you kind of know where this is going to go. But I would be lying if I was just like, watching the boxing matches. I will say the boxing matches in the first one were a little more realistic than this one was. But I'm like, I would be lying if I'm watching the boxing matches like, come on, ref, you ain't see that? Come on, man. I'm like yelling at the screen. Like, it was fun because it was myself, and there were maybe like two other people in the theater or whatever. Because I went to see it like on a Monday, because I wanted to make sure nope, this is my movie. No one else sees it. I wanted to make sure I was kind of be by myself. So I saw like a late Monday night movie. It's like 9 o'clock or something like that. And I was like, yep, this is going to be the movie, man. This is going to be it. This is going to be like I said, first time ever seeing a Rocky. I know it's Creed, but I'm like, it's the first time ever seeing a Rocky movie in theaters. So I'm like, I'm not missing this. There's one thing I was not going to miss, and it was going to be this. And I was like, please let it be good. Like you were with The Last Jedi. I was like, please be good, please be good, please be good. I was doing the same thing with her. I was like, oh gosh, please be good, because I'm going to be so disappointed. Tearjerker ending. Yeah. Which was, now, it's not a spoiler. Nobody dies. But it's still it's a very heartfelt ending. Like I said, I think the first one was better. But this one was definitely takes my number one spot. This one brought all the feels, brought all the nostalgia, got me. I was into the movie. I said, I knew what was going to happen. I mean, I would be silly if I didn't know what was going to happen in this movie, but I'm just like, I didn't care. I was like, I just want to see this movie. I want to be here and get that same Rocky experience that everyone else had when they went to see Rocky 1 or Rocky 2 or Rocky 3. I wasn't alive during that time, so I'm like, I want to be able to go see these movies and everything.
I feel so old right now. Stop rubbing it in.
Well, I mean, I couldn't have saw Rocky 3. I could have seen Rocky 4. Could have saw Rocky 4 in theaters. That's one thing. I could have seen that one, but I would have been too young to understand what was going on, but still.
Well, actually, I was going to say, I think if I remember right, Stallone was actually hospitalized during the fight scenes because he told
Dolph Lundgren to hit him.
He goes, go at me full force.
Yeah.
And he says, And then in the interview he goes, I regretted saying that afterwards. Because, well, you saw him.
Yeah.
I mean, Dolph Lundgren was pretty much in his prime at that point.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
He's a big dude.
He was a big dude. I mean, he just had not internal major injuries, but no, he was hurt. So,
yeah, well, this
yeah,
dude,
like, oh, I wish I had done that.
this dude that plays Drago
It's his son.
is
Drago Jr..
Drago Jr. Yeah, he is freaking
He looks pretty pumped up too.
dude.
But he didn't look towering over like in the.
Oh
Is he?
man,
Because it looks kind of same size ish.
I would say height. I would say he doesn't tower over him height wise. He's definitely taller,
Bigger.
but it's one of those things like this would never happen in real life. Like
Yes.
these two are in like two completely different weight classes. Like the dude's forearm was as big as his bicep.
Wow.
And there's another trailer out there. This is I think this is like the second trailer or something like that. There's another trailer that showed Creed getting hit, and the fist was like the size of his face. I'm like, why are you fighting Juggernaut, man? It's not worth it.
Wow.
But it's good. It's definitely like I said, it's a good bookend. Like I said, I will say the fight sequences boxing sequences are not as realistic as they are in the first one. The first one was really took care and to do that. The second one took some more liberties with it, which is why I'm like come on, ref, come on, ref, he's holding him, man. Come on, man, and but yeah, I had a blast with this movie. I left the theater teary-eyed.
He left the theater. Oh, he left the theater. Left it really sadly feeling.
I left it teary-eyed, but man, I am forever happy that I saw this.
Aww.
So yeah, this was definitely my number one. I don't think there was anything that was going to top this one.
Wow.
Like when I saw it, I'm just like, yeah, Incredibles 2 had the hit. Had the heart for this one. I was like, because when I saw Infinity War, I was like, I don't know anything that's going to top this year. So Incredibles 2, I'm like,
see, I did not see Incredibles 2. I did not see Creed, but I need to see Creed 1. Mm-hmm. We talked about this.
Yeah, you're not that big of a fan of Michael B. Jordan.
Just because I don't see him do anything. Of all the movies I've seen him in, he doesn't do anything differently that I've ever seen. I think personally, the first one, which was he was in that I recall, he got the superpowers. I always forget what it's called, but it's
Fantastic Four.
No.
Chronicle.
First one, Chronicle. Yeah, with the alien thing. Mm-hmm. I felt that was kind of his pinnacle, in my opinion. I haven't seen him in these, but again, I've seen him other things like Fantastic Four and things like that. I'm like, but that's just him again, okay. And then he was in Black Panther. And I'm like, okay, it's just him again, and he's got the same facial features, and he does kind of the same stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing different here. I don't know. It's kind of like if you went to see a movie and it had Tom Hanks in it, and he's kind of playing the same guy. Yeah. I mean, now, yes, I'm sure he will progress as an actor, which is good because a lot of actors kind of did the same stuff for a while and they had that breakout role. Kind of like Robert Downey Jr. He had kind of that same kind of thing back in the 80s, but then he got in trouble with stuff. He lost out of the public eye. Then he came back and he was playing different characters. Right. So that's,
Yeah, and maybe it's just like the character of Adonis Creed that lends itself to his personality a little bit more. So maybe it works a little bit more. Than I will say, like my biggest problems with Van Forstik and Black Panther is like he just didn't have a lot to do. Like they he was cut out of he was gone for half of Black Panther. So by the time he comes back, it's like, oh, okay. Hi, how have you been? Where are you?
Right. But that's the thing. It's like, so he's still kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, so he didn't have a lot
he's not there long enough to do anything different.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't have a lot to do. And Fantastic Four was the same thing. Van Forstik, the same thing. It was like,
well, you got a lot of people in both movies, so you got
but in my opinion, Black Panther should have been the main villain. Period. I know people like Andy Serkis and Claw, and they like the silly antics.
Make him the minor and kind of overdone quickly. Yeah, and then the big bad guy. Yes, but it's because one of the Marvel movies, the Crossbones, took care of him at the beginning of the movie, done, and then they moved on to the main Ultron. Yep. That's
well, not Ultron. That was Civil War. So that was Zemo in that one. Crossbones was in Civil War. He was also in. He was at the end of.
Was?
Yeah, he was at the end of Winter Soldier, and then he came back in the beginning of Civil War. And then he was taken care of. Yeah, like I said, taken care of early.
Right.
And then Zemo took over. He's the main villain. He's the bad guy. So I was like, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't have to kill Claw. He could have just been like, oh, caught him. We're done.
Maybe.
So you know, so you're like, or like, you know, say the same thing about Dark Knight with Scarecrow. Scarecrow shows up at the begining.
Got him.
Got him.
Move
Done.
on.
Yep. So yeah, those are our top three.
Yep.
We got some, like I said, did some polls over the break and everything. Follow us on social media. Be able to participate in those polls
You can
and everything.
click with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. So
On the privacy of your own home.
exactly. So like I said, I asked what you, the fans out there, I was like, what was your favorite movie?
Mm-hmm.
So William, you want to take a guess? What was their favorite? I specifically asked superhero / geek culture movie. What do you think their favorite was?
I'm going with Black Panther or Infinity War, probably.
Okay, so
yeah, because I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they're just really drunk when they saw the other ones and they were like, "You're really good. Those are
All right.
great. I love them. They're beautiful. Oh my God, they brought me to tears.
Okay.
Oh, they brought me to tears."
So I will say for this one, they got Avengers Infinity War. This is on Twitter. And I ran the poll. Coming in second, looks like that was, I got to blow that up a little bit more. But but yeah, those were, looks like Deadpool 2 came in second.
Right.
No, that's not what I wanted to do.
Whoops.
There we go. Whoopsie.
That's a shout out to the
Screen Rant people.
and Ryan there. Whoopsie.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Infinity War took over half the vote, just about half the votes, 44%. Deadpool 2 came in second, 23%. Into the Spider-Verse, which a lot of people liked, 21%. Bumblebee came in last with 12%. Now, this was over like the course of 12 different movies, you know. So I asked about Black Panther.
Yeah,
Black Panther
you had like a I don't know, the round one fight.
Yes,
thing going on
on Facebook I had that as well.
What do they call that? I don't know, matchups.
Yeah. And this was over the course of all of those, and Black Panther actually got knocked out quickly. I was actually surprised. I'm like, no, it's not that people didn't like it. It was just like, it was because I grouped it in the order that the movies came out.
Right.
So Black Panther and Infinity War unfortunately had to go toe to toe with each other. So Black Panther was a close second to them, to that first round. But after that, it was kind of like, all right, Infinity War is kind of just going away with it here. Bumblebee surprisingly won over some.
Well,
some
I
other
didn't
people,
see it, but a lot of people said it was somebody said it was the Transformers movie we all deserved but never got to see.
Right.
And when I saw it come out, I was like, oh Lord, here we go again.
Yeah.
Because we were all like, no. All of us were like that. We were like, no, it's
yeah. A lot. Yeah. Some people are actually saying like they hope this is like a soft reboot. Just go from here and then just, you know, forget everything else. Right. Like I said, I did the same thing on Facebook, and Facebook actually, well, that's not what I wanted to do. Come over here. There you go. Facebook, what are you doing, Google?
That's really tiny.
There we go.
But Thanos took over your screen finally.
Yeah. So he's like, he did the snap, like took out half my screen for a second there. But yeah, Infinity War also took over the Facebook poll. And like I said, in both instances, it was funny. In both instances, just tallying up the votes, Deadpool 2 came in second. But it was kind of fun just like doing that, just seeing which movies were winning out over which movies and everything. I was like, oh, what do y'all really think?
Some got killed quickly and some were kind of neck and neck.
Yes.
Because it was like this or this, and everybody's like this. And it was like nobody said the other one. You're like, wow, that was painful to watch. Is what that was.
Solo, yeah, Solo was one of those. Solo was just like, well, it went up against Deadpool 2 on Facebook. So I was
wait, but didn't Solo go up against watching paint dry? And it was like destroyed. I think that was the first one. Anyway, that's not fair. I know watching paint dry is so much more interesting than Solo. So we'll put up against this other movie to make it, you know, at least not as Not make Solo feel so bad.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, yeah, like some people did enjoy Solo. The movie that got the most hate was actually Teen Titans Go. I haven't seen that one yet. I don't think you've seen that either.
No, but I've seen people who've seen it and they were like, okay, why'd they even do that? And they said, okay, it was silly in spots because it was silly.
Yeah,
it's that crazy bad, in my opinion, bad animation. It's sort of a cross between the big head animation and the anime where the characters get really big and like they're really angry and and the little person like,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I just like, no, just stop, stop, because again. And I've seen those, anime shows, and it's fine. They're fine. But if you do it all the time, even those shows don't do it all the time. They don't. Yeah. They throw it in once in a while, and then you're like, okay, that's silly. It's ridiculous, And then they move on. Again, it depends on the kind of the genre of it's a fantasy, it's a science fiction, it's a superhero, whatever. But they still do other things like really serious stuff.
Yes.
I mean, like, Trigun with the Vasha Stampede. Yeah, there'll be the time where he's doing silly stuff and he's got the big mouth. He's like, whoa, and he's crying. But then there are like really dark moments, really touching moments. You're like, whoa.
And that was
but they don't ever balance it out. And in American style, they just do the big. They never balance it out, and then it's kind of like, okay, it's silly. But with animation, there's no like grown up animation. I think nowadays it's more geared towards kids. It's got to be silly in some way. It can't be just serious, dramatic. I mean, the Justice League was the last ones. Justice League Unlimited. Those were the last ones I can recall. Because even some of the modern Batman ones are not bad, but they're still kind of silly. Yeah. Even the episodes that are more serious, they're still kind of silly, and I'm like, but why?
I've got quite a few over there that are just like they're in some of the newer ones and stuff. Right. I've got quite a few over there. Like they're definitely more. I guess you could say they're geared more towards that teenager range to adult range, like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and stuff was. I would say definitely the original Teen Titans cartoon that came out was more akin to what you were talking about earlier. It's like where it has that silly moments, but it has its really heart wrenching and
the very first
gut punch
one,
moments.
The very first ones, But then when they kind of micro scale the people, when they
rebooted it with this the Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, look, some of the jokes are funny, and I'm like, all right, this is silly, this is meant for kids. But my biggest thing, I'm like, nobody's different. They're all like, they're all silly, goofy. They don't have personalities that are outside of, same thing I said about like Resistance. I'm like, well, the main character, like a lot of the characters, they suffer from being in a kids cartoon because they're like we're more focused on their wackiness and zaniness than their actual personality and character.
And here's the other thing about these type of animations. They're kind of, I don't know if meta is the right word. They make fun of themselves being animated.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's meta.
So you're breaking the fourth wall essentially, and it's just like, why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's why these, in my opinion, these kind of kiddie cartoon animated shows just don't hold up. I mean, they're just ridiculous. I mean, because like say, if you go way back, say the Three Stooges, they are acting really strangely in a normal world.
Exactly.
That's what you need to do. You can't go, well, we're Three Stooges, we're making fun of ourselves.
Exactly.
That doesn't, no. Because yes, in a real sense, like the Simpsons, they don't make fun of themselves like they didn't used to. They kind of do a little bit now, because back then, if you're like in real life, you're strangling your kid, you're going to get arrested. The kid's going to put in social services.
Exactly.
But it's the zaniness of that, and I think Futurama does it better because that's more real in terms of it's the future, so we don't know.
Right.
It could happen where robots are drinking booze and swearing and smoking cigars, and there are aliens and. Yeah, of course. If you got a delivery package system on Earth, of course you can have it out in space, and lobster doctors, and So you don't know that people heads in jars, which is dark, but it's funny at the same time.
Right.
So you get that mixture of it's crazy, but it's crazy in that world that makes sense, and it's like everybody goes, heads in jars, that's normal.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, so you accept that. It's not like barbaric and just bizarre.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about world.
They don't treat it in a silly way. because it is a silly premise.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing about like just building the world. Is like once you've established the rules of the world, you're just kind of like, don't matter what it is. You could say up is down.
Yep.
It's like, all right, well, up is down in this world. That's the way it is. So just go with it.
But see, then don't make fun of the fact that it's now up is down. You go,
Right.
well, you know, up is down and down is up in other worlds. And what's in up before? Oh, it's down now. Oh, I don't know. See, now you're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And then you're taking yourself out of the reality of that world. And then it's just like, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what's going on. It's like, I don't know what's going on anymore. It's like, is it serious? Am I going to turn around? It's going to be something stupid. It's like, I don't know. And it's just, at that point, it's tiring.
Yeah.
It really is.
Completely understand. Completely understand. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end this segment. And in the next segment, we're going to go ahead and get into one of William's favorite movies of 2018. We're going to talk about The Mule.
Yes.
So we'll be back in just a few minutes and we'll talk about some Clint Eastwood goodness. Welcome back, everyone. So we're here now. This segment, we're going to talk about one of Bill's favorite movies of 2018. And we're going to talk about the Clint Eastwood directed and starred in The Mule.
And it's, hasn't done one in a while. The last one was Gran Torino. That was
Yep.
a few years ago.
And this is supposed to be his last one. His very last
that one was supposed to be his last one.
Gran Torino was, yeah.
And then they pulled him back in.
Just when he thought he was out.
He thought he was out of him back in. Which is a huge benefit to us because holy cow, that was really good. And he plays a curmudgeon like he did in the other curmudgeon,
Right.
Like he did in the other one. He still plays an old guy,
Right.
Who's kind of does his old way things and has his old way language.
Yes.
But not a bad guy actually. Really, actually kind of a nice guy. Very gregarious and very friendly and nice.
Yeah. I mean, there are sometimes in there where you're just kind of like, what's the you said it about you. I can't remember if you said it or your wife said it about your dad, whatever. It was like, well, they're old school racist. They're not really racist. They're just old school. They're old racists. I mean, it's like because they say certain things like that.
But that's the thing. It's like again, when I was a kid in the 70s. I was alive then,
right?
And my dad was born in the early 1930s, so he would have said, Negroes,
right?
Because that's the terminology they used back then. He said colored people. He still said colored people,
right?
Even when I was in high school,
right?
And then the term was black. People say I'm black and I'm proud or something.
Yeah.
And now it's African American, so it changes.
Yeah,
and but that's just language changes.
Yeah, exactly. It was a product of the time period.
Sure.
Yeah,
so he'll
definitely a
still
product
say
of the time
stuff.
period. Yeah.
Now he's got like dementia going on, so he'll sometimes say a little bit different language. But again, if he would have met you, he didn't mean it in any real negative way. Kind of like this guy when he helps the black family on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you colored people you're all doing great, and he's
and
we
it's
don't
like
say that anymore.
we don't say that
and
anymore.
the cool part was they didn't that the character the family didn't immediately think the guy was racist because first of all he stopped to help them.
He stopped exactly.
He's an old guy. He stopped to help
come
them. He's like, well, I'll help you change the tires.
Yeah.
We'll walk through it. But when he said colored people, and they were like,
like,
no one says that anymore.
yeah, no one's we're just people. And he was like, oh,
he goes, oh, okay,
okay.
Like with the lesbians, he was like, oh, okay,
yeah. And it was like
he didn't try to correct them or like I can call you whatever I want.
Yeah.
He just was like, well, that's the words I use, and they go, well, he goes, all right,
yeah, no, and then just move on about your business.
Yeah, the real guy was pretty much like that from what I read. I mean, the movie's based off of a real scenario, but it's not exactly the same. It's not a biography.
Right.
So it's not a true story, but it's based off of true events, more or less. I mean, some of it was fleshed out because they didn't know the specifics of a lot of it. But wow, like I said, in terms of our top, picks for last year, doggone, if Eastwood doesn't make a darn good movie.
He does.
It was long, and it was a simple story. There was no explosions. There was no explosions.
No.
There was no real gunfire. I think it was like a one gun scene thing. There was no like shoot 'em up stuff.
No.
It wasn't an action movie. This was a dramedy kind of thing. because there was some drama. It was not like dramatic drama, but there was some of that. It wasn't a comedy, but there was some comedy.
Right.
So, and it was no horror. There was no like murders and things.
Exactly.
There was one death, I think. But so yeah, I mean, it was just a good character story. Do we have this up on the screen right now? Is that what we're seeing?
No, we're up on the screen right now. So.
Okay.
No, Bruce Willis is not up on the screen right now.
Okay, well, I saw Bruce Willis's face pop up. I'm like, are they seeing Bruce Willis now? We're not
No.
talking about Clint Eastwood. Wow, the actors were really good.
Yes.
Michael Pena, I think.
Michael Pena. Yeah. See, he was like, I was trying to get him pulled up because I was actually genuinely surprised with his performance because we've seen Michael Pena in plenty of comedies.
Right.
You know,
he's really easy with the comedy.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And he did a little bit in this, but he was more serious in this.
Yeah. He had, funny lines and stuff like that, but
way toned down.
Yes. Way toned down. They knew how to rein him in.
Yep.
Like they knew just like, okay, we know this is a more of a comedic actor. Let's just make his, let's have this character. Let's just have him be more comedic, but still grounded. Just like regular people are still talking. So it's like he's not super quippy or anything like that, or doing his silly Luis thing like he does with Ant-Man.
Like an Ant-Man. Yeah, he's like a fast talking.
Yeah,
kind of like in the 70s shucking and jiving kind of thing.
Yeah, like he is like you would buy him as an FBI. Was he FBI or CIA?
DEA.
DEA. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, you would buy him as a DEA agent. I was like, you definitely buy him. Same thing with Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper, obviously, he usually always does well. Even in like movies that are bad, I can always kind of say like, well, he was good in it. He was good. Like I said, Michael Pena definitely surprised me. I didn't even know he was in the movie.
Right. Well, it's funny. You saw him, you're like, he looks familiar. Who is that guy? And you went, is that Michael Pena?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it is. Because he wasn't going, hey, he wouldn't do that. He was like, and he'd say something funny, but it was low. I mean, really, really low key, but it was funny. You're like, okay, it's funny. But not like, oh, it's funny,
Yes.
So definitely not over the top. Definitely stayed. He didn't break out of that scene in terms of like break the scene, not like break the fourth wall, but out of context. You're like, what's he doing? No, it's totally, I believe it,
Yeah, and
it's
I
kind of
think
like, because we're both ex-military guys, so it's kind of like that, he threw that military humor type in there. Yeah. He'll say something and the guys are like, oh yeah, I get that. Doesn't matter what branch of service you serve, you're like,
true.
Oh yeah, I get that.
True.
But it's funny in that way.
And
not overtly funny.
Right. And I think I honestly just think that's a real testament to Clint Eastwood as a director, because a lot of people say about Clint Eastwood, it was just like, because he's acted in so many, spaghetti westerns, as you called them, and everything, because he's acted and stuff like that, he's a real good actor's director.
He knows how to work.
He knows how to work with the actors.
He knows how to rein them in. He knows how to let them go.
Yes.
Rian Johnson. Okay, so I mean, he knows how to, well, of course, he's been around since the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, he's
he was in the spaghetti westerns. I think he did Rawhide back in the 60s, I think it was. So, yeah, he's got a lot. I mean, dude, he worked with Sergio Leones. Is that right? Sergio Leones?
I don't remember.
Some of the Western movies he did. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. He's, wow. So he's hung out with some big names and he's learned a lot. I mean,
definitely. And he puts it to good use. I mean, I don't think there might be some out there, but I don't think I've ever there might be maybe one or two out there.
One or two.
Excuse me, but I don't think I've ever seen a bad movie that was directed by Clint Eastwood.
Right.
There might be a couple out there, but I don't think I've seen.
Here's the thing. So. They're not like stinkers. If they're bad, they're still like better than most movies out there.
Right.
That's the thing. You're like, okay, it wasn't his best movie. You go, but doggone, it's better than these other ones.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's better like 90% of what you see.
Yeah.
So even his worst stuff is pretty freaking good. It's kind of like bad pizza. It's still really good.
Yeah.
Like, that's really bad pizza, but doggone, it's still not pretty good.
It's still somehow above average.
Yeah.
So so I can definitely, I mean, like, There might be some out there, like some stinkers out there, but I haven't seen them yet.
Let me ask you this about the movie. Was there anything bad that you didn't like about this movie?
There were a couple of things that I don't think they were like.
But they were minor.
Yes, very minor.
Major, like, oh, that whole thing just didn't work. It was like very minor.
There's something that goes on with the cartel that's just sudden.
Yeah.
It's a sudden thing that goes on. And it was, I think they were trying to explain why things were different. Because if you know the story, this guy has been, he was a drug mule for the Mexican cartel.
Yeah, like a big Mexican cartel running cocaine.
Yeah. So if you know the story, and everyone started to like him. Everyone was really cool.
He's a genuine nice guy. Yeah, I mean, he was, other than kind of being out of time, because the dude was in his 80s at this point, the real guy. So he was in late 70s, early 80s. So he was an out of time character. Because again, remember, he was alive and he served in World War II. I mean, so he was born at a way different time, which is why he was using different names for things, not in a racist or derogatory way, just because that's the words he used for 40 years.
Exactly.
So he just was used to using those words.
Right.
But generally, when someone says something, you go, "Oh, okay." Yeah. Like, well, it's good to see. He says, he called the lesbians. He
thought one of them was a guy.
Yeah. We're dykes on bikes. The lady said we're dykes on bikes. He goes, "Oh, well, how about that?" He goes, "You dykes have a good time."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, thanks, old timer." Yeah. And that was it. Nobody was like, "Don't call me that." And it's like, fight. And none of that happened because nowadays people do that. They go, rah, 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 and I'm like,
yeah.
But he didn't mean it that way.
Exactly.
So why are you taking it that way? It's kind of like when we do comedy. It's like we're doing the world's worst version. People go, "Oh, you're being offensive." Yes, because that's the joke.
That's the point.
We're doing the world's worst version of that. Yes, you shouldn't be mad. You should go, "Well, that is the world's worst version." Oh my God, that's really funny. Why? Because it's designed to be funny, not to be hurtful.
Not to be hurtful. It's not mean-spirited.
It's not supposed to be, this is how people should really be. No, it's the world's worst version of that. So it should be edgy.
Exactly.
It should be like, this. And, we did a show and there were two gay men in the audience when I did a sort of a gay-ish joke, but it was the world's worst version of that. They were cracking up.
Yeah.
They just they were laughing so hard I thought they were going to fall out of their chairs. And I was like, and I saw that, I was like, boom, because they got the joke.
Exactly.
So he was this guy, he's the character he plays is a nice guy.
Very nice guy. Very engaging. Very likable.
Yeah.
Like I said, the cartel liked him.
Yep.
Had their
but not originally. They were like, "Oh, do this." No, man, no. He's like, "Oh, okay." So you can see he was kind of befuddled old man. Like, I'm trying to figure out, how do you do this texting? I'll just do this. Just call this number.
Yeah. Eventually, he won a lot of people over.
Yeah.
In the
and
cartel.
then he would keep going back, and they're like, "Hey, Walt, how's it going, man? It's good to see you." He's like, "How's your cousin?" "Oh, he's really good. Appreciate it. How's your Anisha? How's she doing in school?" "Man, she got all A's." So then you see him, and he's like, when he sees the guys, he doesn't see them as cronies or thugs. He sees them as people.
Yes, exactly.
And again,
as human beings.
That kind of ties into what the real character. That he was generally nice and people liked him.
Right.
He actually, from what I read of the real character, and again, this story takes place in between Texas and Illinois, Chicago. But the real character took place between Texas and Detroit.
Right.
So, but the real guy is based off of, again, was really nice. And people liked him. He actually took vacation or two with some of the drug cartel guys to I think it was Hawaii actually.
Right.
So it's like, you're not going to hang out and have a vacation with somebody if you don't like them.
Right.
I mean, you don't go, "Oh, he's just working for me." Exactly. If he's naturally a nice guy, and you're like, "Oh, the guy's kind of nice."
Yeah.
You hang out with a guy because I hang out with him. He hangs out with me because we're kind of nice.
Yeah. So.
You don't go, "Oh,
but yeah, and. So, like I said, most of the cartel members, like at least the ones in the vicinity, kind of warmed up to him and everything. Even like the leader, I guess, of that particular area or that region or whatever, had kind of warmed up to him and everything like that.
Eventually,
cool,
first he was like,
man.
"What are you doing all this stuff?"
Yeah,
and then we watched him, and he goes, "This old guy knows how to live life."
Yeah,
because my life sucks. He's like, "Well, my life is crap," and this old guy really figures it out.
Yeah, so he had eventually there's a change in the cartels, a changing of hands, a violent change of hands, but it just comes so sudden because you don't spend you spend most of all your time with the character that Clint Eastwood was playing. What's his name? I'm sorry.
I think his name was Walt, but the real person was named Leo, I think.
Yeah.
But
I know the real person's name.
No, Walt. Sorry, Walt was from. You're going to ding me online about this.
Okay.
I believe Walt was from Gran Torino.
Okay.
But I'll pull it up real quick.
Okay.
But the real character's name was Leo.
Right.
The real man, from my understanding.
So. But yeah, I just there was a sudden change because you don't spend a lot of time with the cartel,
Right.
So when it happens, you're kind of like, okay, this is out of nowhere or something. Which the story in terms of like the storytelling, like cinematic wise, I don't know if this actually happened in the real life story or anything. It may have, but because it, you are doing a dramatization of it, you could have done this another way to where that wasn't so jarring and it kind of just flowed into it. Because there's a time where like the DEA is really starting to be on their tail now. So we could be like, hey, look, we need to start cracking down. No, we need to get serious about this. No more going off getting yourself some sandwiches. Right. No, you go from point A to point B and back. Period. And that's it. But because I guess for added,
Clint Eastwood's main character's name was Earl.
Okay.
Earl. Well, okay. Earl told us. It's an old guy's name.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just, that was one of the things I was like, okay, that was a little jarring. You probably didn't have to execute it that way, and you could have still accomplished the same thing. Like, okay, hey, like things are getting tough now, because before they cared, and then they started to not care so much because it was like, well, if he's stopping to get food and stuff like that, I'm just like, well, that's people stop to get food. People stop to go to the bathroom. He's socializing with people. I'm like, well, people do that. If he's just going from point A to point B and he's just like, he's looking suspicious.
Yes.
So he was less predictable
he wasn't predictable in their eyes, and they hated that.
Right.
But the fact that he was so good at it, they kind of excused a lot of it because, well, he's because like the main cartel guy was like, let him do that, because you know why? He's working really well, and he's not doing unpredictable bad things to where he's going to get caught. He's actually unpredictable in a good way.
Right.
He's picking up things, and that way, when he pulled over, I all these pecans for my daughter, who's a horrible baker or whatever. He makes up stories, but he's got all this like stuff in his truck. You don't just have like the drugs.
Exactly.
You go, oh, what's that? Oh, it's nothing. It's like a bunch of bags or something.
Yeah.
And you got like stuff in there. You got potatoes, you got pecans, you got stuff. And he stops and he goes, this is the best barbecue place around here.
Yeah, I know, right?
And they're eating it, and the guy's like, whoa, this actually really is pretty good. You're like, wow. And then, so he hangs out. And
So when like there's a change, like I said, there's a change of hands in leadership and stuff. It's a violent change of hands, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. So I was kind of like, all right, you didn't really have to do this way. I don't know if don't know if this actually happened, but because this is a dramatization and you're doing it for the sake of the film, then I would probably have just been like, all right, hey, the DEA is cracking down on us right now. Look, we can't have you going off doing what you want to do anymore. You know, we gotta get serious with this stuff now and everything. So, but I think that was just to establish more tension that comes about when he is dealing with his family stuff. So it kind of makes him. But I think that would have happened anyway. Even though, like when they're going after him and they're looking for him because he disappears because something really bad happens with his family.
Right.
So he goes to take care of that while he's on the clock for the cartel. So they're kind of after him right now. But I think that would have happened anyway if he, regardless of whether there was a change of hands or not. So I'm just like, it's still the cartel. Right. So I'm like, yeah, they might be friendly with them, but they're still not 100% his friends, Right. They still have a chain of command. They still have like stuff they have to do. So you can't just disappear with, X amount of kilos of cocaine.
With their product.
Yeah, you can't just disappear for like, I don't know, what was it? 3-some weeks or something like that.
It was a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So
and then they found out because the guy, remember when the change happens, the guy's like, they go to like this deserted area. It's like, and he shows them a dead body of someone. They say, okay, we changed hands, and this guy, he's like, oh, poor guy. So then he realizes, oh, but then when he gets the information that his family is going through a medical crisis, he's like, I got to take care of this because the whole purpose of me running drugs is to
take care
kind of reconnect with my family because in the story, he's estranged from his daughter, he divorced from his wife. So he's like, okay, I'm trying to do this to get back in good with them. It's not a good thing he's doing, obviously, but he's taking the money, which again is mostly true, and doing good things with it. Like he gives a lot of it to the VFW because their building and kind of area was like burned up in a fire or something. Right. So he helps rebuild that, kind of gives back to his community and people he knows.
Yeah.
And he kind of talks about, well, where we're gonna have our poker games and where we're gonna have our dances and you know, the barbecues and whatever's. And so he gives the money back to that, and he gets his farm and house back and all that stuff. So again, that's more or less what really happened. Again, in a framework, it's not specifically everything that happened, but so and then when they catch him, because he's going back to doing what they finally see him, they go to shoot him, and he goes, "I know I messed up."
Yep.
But I had to go do this, and you gotta do what you gotta do. No, hard feelings, man.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like, well, he wasn't begging for his life, and I'm like, wow, that's and this guy was like originally like to him, and now he's like, okay, I kind of respect that. But then he's like, where you been? And he finds the thing, and he goes, oh yeah, and he's like, so he calls the guy. He goes, we found him. He goes, take care of me. He goes, well, he was
it's like
he had to go to a funeral and this whole thing, and then they're like, I don't know. I mean, this was going on his family, and if you know anything about the Hispanic community, families are really important.
Yes.
So I think in a way they kind of were like, I kind of respect that.
Yeah.
Because he's been. I mean, he was a nice guy. He didn't shirk his responsibilities. He didn't miss He didn't miss anything. He didn't get caught. I mean, he did this for like more than 10 years, I think, in reality, and they kind of showed that
the transition.
They didn't show every year, but
right?
They did show enough of it. You go, wow, he didn't know why.
Yeah.
So then they kind of like, all right, well, we'll let you off this time, but I mean, they did rough him up.
Yeah, definitely.
So he got hit a few times, and when you see him and when he gets finally captured by the police, he's got like blood on his face and everything because the guys did rough him up.
Yes.
So like, okay, you better pay attention. Because the next one ain't gonna be a rough up. It's gonna be the end. Boop.
Exactly.
But was there anything bad about this movie?
Except for that one little hiccup there,
and that line
in the last line. The last line.
I agree. That was kind of like okay.
It was a joke in a sense, but I'm just kind of like timing.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like,
other
than but majorly bad.
No, not at all.
Those are really minor.
What I really, really love about this movie is like the main character is not a perfect person.
Nope.
He's a nice person, but he is not a perfect person. No. I love how like he wants what a lot of other people want. He's just like he gets this this adulation and everything from people, but. He's not from his family, but not necessarily from his family because
while he was out doing that,
he's neglecting
his family. Now he's providing for them.
Yes,
he's gay. I mean, he had money. His daughter went to college. The whole thing, But then in the movie, he didn't go to his daughter's wedding, and this whole thing, and they were the wife and them divorced. They were estranged. He kept trying to reconnect with his ex-wife, but she, boom, and then the daughter. And like you said, there was one moment where the daughter was really just being over dramatic.
Yes,
and I'm like, I get that, but at the same time, man. I've known people like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we know people like that. So we're like, whoa, I don't want to be in the same room with you.
Right.
I mean, there are people that's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that kind of worked. And it's interesting because the girl plays his daughter is his real daughter. Which is kind of interesting. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that.
Like, oh, wow.
Okay,
that's cool.
Okay.
Now, I liked, and this is kind of, we were talking about just briefly, the look of the film. Oh,
yes.
Every shot was beautiful.
Yes.
The humor was good. It wasn't over the top, and it was perfect in terms of the character interactions. The characters were great. The cast was great.
Right.
The interaction between the characters was really interesting because they were real.
Right. Exactly.
It was real. The interaction was wonderful. The storyline was pretty good. And I did appreciate. There was a song, an old, I think, 60s song. I Love You More Today Than Yesterday.
Yeah.
Very cheesy. But he turned that cheesy song and line into really touching when his wife was, going through cancer and stuff. I mean, I was like, okay, that's a really, because unlike say in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the Brandy song, I'm like, oh God, because I can't even listen to that Brandy song anymore. I used to like that song. I can't listen to it anymore because of the Guardians 2. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And the emotion was real. I think the emotion was really, really real. And
they really.
I personally. Again, I'm speaking for myself personally. I kind of felt for the character, the main character.
You definitely do. Because I was
like, and I think this is what makes movies really good. You're like, okay, he's a decorated World War II veteran. They talked about that. He gave money to the VFW. He's trying to, keep that group of people and community going. and trying to give jobs to Hispanic Mexican people.
Yeah.
Even after he lost his farm and everything, to help poorer people out, because he's like, he's a stand-up guy. But at the same time, he's like, how does he justify running drugs for these drug cartels?
Exactly.
You're like, but he's a decorated World War II veteran. How does he not realize that's wrong? But then he's kind of justifying it by saying, well, no one's really getting hurt. He's not killing anybody. It's like, if you buy drugs, that's your own thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of see him justifying it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, the emotion you felt for the character. You're like,
it's like
he's a nice guy. You're like, oh, he's kind of a cool dude.
Yeah, it is one of those things like, you look at it in plain terms, like black and white. It's just like, all right. Yeah. I mean, either way, I look at it, I'm just like, you got caught. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you messed up big time here. But I still was like, damn, I'm just like, it is one of those moments where it's just like, yeah, you should not be out here, running drugs for the cartel and stuff like that. You should not be doing that. But damn, you got caught. Shoot.
You almost want him to get away and like just kind of retire.
Yeah, or just like stop
doing it.
Yeah,
just like, I'm too old. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, and I think the guys have been like, yeah, okay. They wouldn't have gone, we're gonna kill you. They wouldn't have just said, no, you're right. You're too old.
Yeah,
they probably would have said, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, given in the context of that film, they kind of liked him and he did really well and they made a lot of money. Again, illegal, bad stuff. I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you really liked him and you didn't really hold it against him that he was doing that, because he was doing it not for
nefarious
personal
reasons,
gain so much as in, he was trying to get his house back. He was trying to get his farm back. He was trying to reconnect with his kids.
And he thought that was the
only way, because he was
about.
so old that he couldn't do anything else.
Right.
He could drive a truck, and that's about all he could do.
Right. And it was just a matter of just like, oh, this is the way I have to do it, because it's the way, like I said, he's so ingrained into this. When his family just like, we just want you, man. And we don't care if you're rich or broke or whatever. It's just like we just want you. We wanted you to be around. We wanted you to be around for the weddings, the graduations, and stuff like that.
And I think that's the real lesson. You go like, hey, be there for your family. They don't really necessarily want, I mean, you sure provide for them. Yeah. But they don't necessarily want exorbitance about the money and sacrifice of yourself.
Exactly.
There has to be a kind of balance of how often do I work compared to how often am I there to actually be there. Not just exist, but actually be there.
Right.
In those important birthdays and weddings and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, let's say that's one of the things I really liked, is like how they really dived into this character and what kind of makes him tick in that regard, and just seeing that this was his, and a lot of people go through this. It's just like, oh, these people out here are just like, yeah, because you're giving them money and you're giving them products that they're going to treat you like, you're the best thing ever, because that's the facade. But your family is going to treat you like the best thing ever sometimes, and they're not going to treat you like the best thing ever at times or whatever. They're going to get mad at you. They're going to, they're going to say things that are going to be hurtful to you and stuff like that. But they're also going to say things that are loving to you, So like, it's one of those like take the good with the bad kind of thing, and just how you get so much adulation outside of the family, where you're at, you might be struggling or some days you want to gravitate more towards that adulation. But I'm just like, that's not real, because you see what happened when you weren't providing money or anything anymore. Where was everybody else? They're gone. Your family's still here. Yep. Like they may be pissed at you, but I'm like, they're still here. So it was one of those things, like it was a lesson learned for him and everything, to try to get over that. And I was like, man, good job. Good job, really diving into that, just making him like this. Yeah, he's a nice guy and everything, but he also is not a perfect person, and also has, even though he's 90 something years old, he still has a lot to learn. Right. And just I really appreciated that, about the movie. Like you said, also very beautifully shot, very well shot.
And we just said this a minute ago, but I'm on IMDb just looking at the reviews, and this is the lowest review. It said 7 out of 10, not bad. It said not bad. Okay. And this is something I said earlier. It said still better than 90% of the movies out there. That's what I said. I was like, of his worst movies. Yeah. And this person said it's not even his worst movie. He goes, not a bad movie, a little slow at parts, but enough to keep you interested. And he said the ending kind of let down. We were kind of like, well, I don't know about ending being a letdown. that was the ending you expected to happen.
Yes.
I mean, because
Yes.
here's the thing: he's 90 or
Yeah.
almost 90.
Mm-hmm.
Either he's going to stop doing it, like you said,
Right.
which would be the ideal thing. He stopped and he reconnected with his family, and everything ended, wonderfully. But
Yeah.
remember, this isn't a beautiful Robin Hood type movie in that regard. He's doing something really bad.
Exactly.
Again, not murdering anybody, but people do get murdered, and people OD, and people take the drugs and crash and kill other people. So if it weren't for him, would that still happen? Yeah. Now, he was really good at it, so maybe it would happen as well. But at the same time, you're like, that's the whole purpose. I mean, I don't think he could have gotten off scot-free other than just stop doing it.
Right.
And then, you can't catch him doing it because you can't prove he did it because there's no documentation or evidence that he was doing it.
Right.
So if he'd stopped doing it, he'd be like, okay, I'm done. And he'd be like, okay, everything's cool. But the other option would be he get killed or he get caught. That's really it. So I don't know how else it could have been other than the sunshine and roses of, oh, well, that's the end. Then he stopped doing it because he realized he was making a mistake and he did something bad. And really, family was not important. Like that kind of altruistic ending of family's really more important than money.
Right.
And you go, well, darn it, I'll stop doing it then. And then a little ding, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I'm a bad guy, but I've turned around. Boink.
Yeah.
And then the halo pops up over his head. But everybody else put, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. There's so many 10s on here, it's crazy. Now, someone gave it a 4, and I'm just like, okay, no. No, they clearly either fell asleep or they just are a hateful person. I don't know.
Or just dramas might not be their thing. I've noticed that sometimes too. Like, it's like that's the one thing. Like, it's like, I hate superhero movies. Why'd you go watch it? If you hate superhero movies.
See, okay, this person gave it a 4. I'm not going to say who it is. It's on IMDb, so they got nicknames or whatnot.
Yeah.
This is one of the things they said that they didn't like about it. The granddaughter graduates from cosmetology school with a cap and gown. Really? Yes, because they do. They do.
Okay.
They do graduate from cosmetology school with caps and gowns. They do that. They really do. Because you know why? Because I work at a college, and guess what? They really do that. Now, do I work at a cosmetology school? No, but I know the continuing ed does a cosmetology thing, and they do graduate that way. They do adult high school. In other words, people who dropped out,
right?
They really have cap and gown graduations.
Exactly.
Because they do that. Why? Because they missed it when they were a kid. Because they dropped out of high school to work or whatever.
Right.
And they still do that.
Yep.
So to sit there and go, well, you started to do that. I'm like, the police officer in Missouri is distracted by tubs of popcorn. Yeah, you know why? Because the guy was so the character, Clint Eastwood's character, was convincing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just an old guy, and he's a befuddled old guy.
Exactly.
He didn't have to pretend because he was really a befuddled old guy.
Yeah, it's one of those things like just because you know what the character is doing does not mean that everybody else knows. Right. That's the whole thing. It's just like, how can he work his way out of this or whatever?
Right.
I'm just like, I mean, who realistically is going to suspect a 90-year-old guy for, peddling drugs somewhere? Who realistically is going to suspect that? Now, once the evidence starts piling up and stuff like that, I mean, even the DEA agent played by
Cooper?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. It was like he was right next to him. He sat next to him at times. I was just like, all right, we know that this person is in this vicinity, but we don't know who exactly it is. We're looking for a particular type, and then that, goes back to, certain things that, you can go back to like stereotyping and stuff like that. We very much could, but they're going to look for a particular type. They're not going to look for a 90-year-old dude, driving drugs back and forth. They're not going to look unless the evidence starts to pile up. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, then they're going to start.
And here's one of their other disappointments or whatever. It says, a guy offers him a job. It says, first the good old boy follows up on this with no other information that he will be driving. Then the good old boy starts throwing around wads of cash, right? The character. Character, and no one seems to be at least suspicious until his ex-wife on her deathbed, and then only then the question is raised. No, they raised the question, but at the same time, this really happened in a general sense, and no one really seemed to really notice because the guy the real guy, and then the character in the movie didn't buy exorbitant things. He bought a truck.
He bought a new truck.
He bought a bracelet, and that's it. The rest of the money he
gave to other
people,
exactly.
but he also didn't buy all this stuff because he didn't want it, or that wasn't the person. He didn't do that.
Right.
He bought his farm.
Exactly.
I mean, who's going to go, oh no, this guy's buying a farm? Because people buy farms.
It's just just like this picture right here. Like, this is after he's already done a few runs and everything. And he's got the new truck, and he's still would you expect this guy to have millions of dollars under his belt?
Other than the gold bracelet watch thing or whatever he was wearing.
It's
you don't. I mean, he's not wearing diamond rings. He's not wearing the gold chains. He's not driving.
He's not flaunting it. He's
not driving an Escalade with spinner wheels just because the guy wouldn't do any of that. He was more pragmatic than that as a real person and as the character.
Yeah,
you're like, well, I just need these things to help with my granddaughter's graduation or school or whatever, and medical stuff, and getting my house back and the farm. And because here's the thing, he bought the farm. Why? To help his workers have a job.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, okay, that's actually kind of nice.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm helping these Hispanic people who are good, gardeners and farmers to provide for the family.
Right. Exactly.
That's nice. So he's not like, well, I'm gonna blow it on a big yacht or a boat or something. He didn't do that because that's not the kind of guy he was. He wasn't a bling guy. But then again, he didn't come from that generation. So I don't know. I mean, these things kind of nitpicky. Is like,
I don't think it's necessarily nitpicky, but just like it's one of those things like you see it and then you just expect everyone else to just know or just to have this suspicion or anything like that. It's just kind of like, well, they don't, just because you know doesn't mean that they're going to know. It's the same thing with Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars, in the prequels or whatever. And it was like the Jedi started to become slightly suspicious of him or whatever. It's like something's just not right with him. They don't expect that he's a Sith Lord or anything, but it was just kind of like Anakin, keep an eye on him. Something's up or whatever. Right. Now, of course, we all know, we know that's the Emperor or anything. We know that's the, Darth Sidious or whatever. Right. But they don't know that's Darth Sidious. Just like they don't, just because we know doesn't mean everyone else is going to automatically pick up on it. Be like, oh, I know who you are because the script says so. And I'm like, no, no, they have to all work it out for themselves if they feel they need to work something like that out.
Wow. Well, this person gave it, a 1.
Ooh, ouch.
Cardboard performances. I didn't think so. I thought they were amazing performances. Disconnected throughout.
Disconnected throughout what?
The movie.
What was disconnected?
You just said disconnected feel throughout the movie.
Oh.
I didn't think so. I thought it was perfectly connected throughout the movie. Multiple scenes that don't advance the story. I think it did. Long highway driving cuts. Yes, you know why? Because it's about the guy driving.
Yeah.
And him driving drugs, and
that was another point I was actually going to bring up is the highway driving scenes. I expected that to be like, all right, this is probably going to be boring or whatever, but it wasn't.
Right. Well, the person apparently thinks so.
Yeah.
But most of the people who are not super nitpicky about because it wasn't what they expected, I guess, or something. Because like one person said, I expected more action scenes. I'm like, in a Clint Eastwood movie. Not in this particular movie because again, this guy's not an action hero.
Right. Yeah. This is not Gran Torino.
But even Gran Torino
wasn't even that.
Didn't have the action scenes. I mean,
I think. Yeah. It just may be one of those things like it wasn't what they expected and stuff.
This person said it's nothing but glorifying drug runners and trying to make you feel sorry for him. Halfway through the movie, I'm hoping for him and his drug buddies to get killed.
Ouch!
Like, what?
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Slow moving ho hum. Clint Eastwood being an old man. That's it. Being an old man. What? See, here's the thing. That to me isn't a critique of the movie itself. It's again their expectation of the movie. Well, I expected more from Clint Eastwood. Well, that's the story is about this person. It's a character driven story. It's not an action story. This is not
they don't
where Eagles dare when he's a Nazi spy trying to kill these people and escape. That's not what this is. I don't know. It's not a Western. You're going to pull those pistols or whistle Dixies. And that's none of that. You know, it's none of that. I don't know. Borderline unwatchable. I don't know. Anyway, people, they're haters. I don't know. You can't please people.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things. Like it is a good movie. Very good. It is a good movie. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and just like, yeah. Am I more of a horror fan than I am a drama fan? Yep. Am I more of a action movie fan than I am a fan of drama? Probably not. But but I would say like, okay, I have my preference with genre.
You like horror movies?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I preference like that's actually my favorite, which is why I'm extremely harder on them.
Yeah, but the black guy always dies in the horror movies first. So why would you like those?
Well,
I'm just saying. I'm like that's kind of weird though. It's like, huh.
Not all the time, most times they don't even have them in there anymore. So, but you know what? I like good horror movies, and I like it's either got to be really good or really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
some of those, like, oh my God, that's so bad.
There's way too many in between. And like those ones, like, but that's why I'm extremely hard on horror movies or whatever. I'm a little bit more lenient on action movies. I'm a little bit more lenient on drama, but drama, I would say, because I like a good story. Mm-hmm. You know, I just love a good story. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll sit there and watch that all day. You know, now I won't, as far as theater experience, because we went to the Alamo Drafthouse, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a chill place, a very chill environment. So I don't mind watching in there. Right. But if I go to a theater, if I watch a drama, I like just be sitting on the couch or something like that and just chilling out and just watching. And that way I can just kind of absorb everything that's going on, absorb all like the the character moments and stuff like that, and really get into what's going on and everything. So the theater for me has always been like, all right, it can provide really good sound and so like with some
picture because of the screen,
you're
really immersed in it at that point.
So like the sound, I'm like, okay, if something scary is going on, it could really have promote the environment and everything,
and you can hear it happen over in the, you're like, oh, I heard the sound, like when they throw a lightsaber or something, you're like, oh, I heard it over there, that's awesome.
Exactly.
So it actually creates the world around you almost.
Exactly. That happened yesterday, actually. Did it happen yesterday? Yeah, I think it happened yesterday. Something like went off in the side. We were watching Glass.
Yep.
And something went off, and I was just kind of like, oh, wait. Because I thought it came from over there, so I'm looking over there. I'm like, oh, who dropped something? Oh.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I did that one time with 3D, and I was like, oh, that's really good 3D.
Oh, man. So, but yeah, that's our review for The Mule. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Overall good movie. Again, if you like a good, simple Clint Eastwood movie about characters, and I want to say, if you're interested in studying like character interaction, or you're looking for like a scene between two people, this is a perfect movie for that, because the dialogue is straightforward. It's like between him and his ex-wife. Yeah, there's some animosity, there's still some love there. You can still just sort of some passion-ish, I guess, but it's an angry passion sometimes because he wasn't there for the family, et cetera. You feel like there's heartbreak, and I mean, you feel that it's just a genuine character type movie.
Yes.
That doesn't talk down to you. I don't think. I don't think so. So yeah, if you need like a script or something, I'd say just when it comes out on somewhere, just transcribe some of the lines, and you got a great acting class scene you can do between a man and woman, or two men or something. I mean, it's like just great. Definitely. Yeah. I other than those minor things, I had nothing really bad to say about it.
No, same here. It was just a few things I was kind of like, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I'm just like, other than that, I'm like, man, this is really good. Definitely. So, all right. So we're going to wrap up this section, and we'll be back with the next section. We're going to talk about first name Mr., last name Glass. MG.
As we find out, it's MG.
All right. We'll be back in just a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. I say today. We're already here today, but
it's still today.
Still,
it never will end.
But today, said it again. And now we're going to talk.
See, it's still today. We're in the Matrix right now. This is weird.
There's a glitch. It just keeps repeating.
Oh, that happened to me the other day. It was very, very odd. I went to a Walmart and I saw this lady who was wearing hospital scrubs. This blonde lady. She smiled. And I smiled. Those were nice. And she was going in and I was going in. So then when I was leaving, the same lady was coming in again. In the same place when I saw her when I was going in. I'm like, and then she smiled again. I was like, I don't know what to do. Should I smile? I don't. It probably doesn't matter now because I'm in the Matrix and none of this is real.
Yeah,
it was really odd because she smiled and did the same motion. I'm like, that's
scary.
I mean, because she did the hair. She smiled and did the hair thing. Like she had long hair and she's kind of like. She went like, hey. She was like, she smiled like, and then she moved her hair because it was windy and she did the exact same thing. And I'm like, what? And I was like, it's like, did I just dream what happened before or am I in a dream now? I don't know anymore.
Yeah. That's scary.
Like it's that time of year, kind of around the fall or the spring solstice where it gets daylight and it gets dark at about the same time, AM, PM.
Yeah.
And you wake up, you're like, is it 7 a.m. or is it 7 p.m.? Before you look at your clock.
Right.
Especially when you're sick, you're like, I don't know what time it is because it's right at dusk, dawn.
Exactly.
I don't know. Like, what time is it? And you're like, I don't know. Yeah, that's how it felt. It was weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
So we're going to get into some other weirdness going on today in the theaters. This weekend as we're recording this, but Glass has come out. The M. Night Shyamalan cinematic universe of superheroes. So this all started with Unbreakable, which starred Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. And it really kind of just kicked off the whole, like, what if superheroes really existed in the world today? Because you have, and it was an interesting premise. It was just like, well, everybody has a direct opposite, like Bruce Willis was the unbreakable character, and you had Mr. Glass, who was the breakable person.
He broke really easily.
Yes, but he was very, very intelligent, which I was surprised that Bruce Willis wasn't really dumb. I mean, there were some moments in the movie I was kind of like,
was thick. If the British thing, he was kind of thick. He was like, oh no. I'm like, okay, dude, seriously.
So yeah, but I don't know what the reviews are like for Unbreakable, but for the most part, I would say like a lot of people really enjoyed that movie, really enjoyed the twist. It was more of M. Night Shyamalan when he was kind of in his prime.
Well, it wasn't his best, but it wasn't the worst. And I think the ending was, people were like, oh, the ending was kind of
because it kind of
But other than that, overall, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought I was like, okay, this was I really enjoyed that movie, and then. Was it 13 or some odd years later, he comes out with this movie called Split. And this
that you saw.
Yes.
I did not.
Yes. I'd heard about it. I was not necessarily as interested to see. Let me rephrase
It's a horror movie, isn't it? Or no?
It was a suspense movie.
Okay.
I was a bit, let's just say I was a bit skittish. Because like M. Night Shyamalan's directing it, and I'm just like he's been messing up, But I'm just kind of like I don't know. And then I saw, because before that had come out, The Visit had come out, and that was more of a The Visit. Yeah, it was more of like a dark, like a horror comedy ish type movie that he directed.
I don't recall that movie.
Found footage ish type thing. Yeah, kind of like semi found footage.
I completely missed that.
It came out, I think 2014 or something like that.
I believe you. I just never heard of it.
Yeah, it was like I saw this was coming out. I was like, I don't know about this. So I saw that on. I saw it on Amazon. I was like, I rented it, and I was like, oh. This is okay. It's okay. This is kind of like M. Night Shyamalan coming back to his form, and actually putting some unexpected comedy. Like I didn't expect it to be a horror comedy, but it was kind of like, all right, or a suspense comedy or whatever. But it was interesting say the least.
Right,
There was a lot of moments I'm just like, you're cracking up or whatever, and there's other moments in there that are just like, oh, that was genuinely it was a little scary there or whatever. But it was all right. You know, it wasn't great or anything. It was all right. Then Split comes out, and it's got James McAvoy in there, and he's got all of these different personalities. You're like, oh, okay. And he's kidnapped these girls or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what this is about necessarily, other than, you know, I was like, I don't know where you can kind of go with this. I was like, okay, let me check it out. Checked it out. It came to Amazon. It was one of those, like, I couldn't rent it. I had to buy it.
Ugh.
Yeah, I've been really hating that nowadays. But I was just like, but I was not disappointed. I wasn't unhappy that I bought it. It's not a great movie, but I was like, oh wow, it's better than The Visit. I was like, oh, this is really decent. And at the end, you have the twist where it's revealed that this is taking place in the Unbreakable universe, because Bruce Willis shows up at the end, and they were just like, oh, there was another person that was revealed to kind of like some kind of weird abilities or whatever, and he was just like, who was that? And it was just like, well, that was Mr. Glass or whatever. That's revealed at the end of that movie. Now, Split, just quick like 2-minute review of Split. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm getting into this. This is a bit of a character study here, and I'm going on. I was like, okay, all right. I feel you. And then, look, if you haven't seen it by now, if you're watching this movie, you haven't seen Glass, like, if you're watching Glass, you haven't seen Split. Split is spoiled for you at this point, so just forget that. But it's like, at the end, when the Beast actually shows up, and he's like scaling these walls and everything, you're like, wait, what? 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 No. M. Night Shyamalan, you were doing so well. This is the twist that you're coming up with? And then, it's followed up with that second twist at the end where it's just like, oh, this is actually in the Unbreakable universe. So he's technically like super powered and everything. I'm like, all right. all right. Forgiven. So then I heard this movie was coming out. I was like, wow, I'm actually genuinely excited for this. Cool. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, they're actually going to, bring all 3 movies together. Now, the thing was, and we saw this in the pitch meeting as well on Screen Rant, but he was just like, this is 13
Ryan,
years. It's like 13 or some odd years later. Is anyone going to remember that? And it's like, why is Bruce Willis here? Who's that? Who's Mr. Glass? I'm just like, well, yeah, I'm like only like fans of his movies or,
Well, I think they were hoping that people would have forgotten all the other bad movies that M. Night Shyamalan had done. I mean, like what, The Happening, Last Airbender. I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
Because I think, gosh, I was looking at his filmography here, and I'm like, as a director, because you said The Visit was pretty good.
Visit was decent, yes.
Yeah, so like, okay, so you did Unbreakable, really good, right after The Sixth Sense, which was amazing. I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. Yeah. Then you did The Village. Sorry, Signs.
I like Signs. I mean, I know it has its problems.
Up to a point. Yeah. I'm like, oh no, their weakness is water. I'm like, I land on a water planet. Anyway.
Well, there's a reason for that, but yeah, they do explain that. But yeah, go ahead.
I must have missed it. Yeah. The Village, which actually I kind of liked. But I know people were like it was the twist, and I'm like, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't hate that movie so much.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, I liked it. The Lady in the Water did not go over well. I kind of liked that a little bit.
Maybe it was that. Yeah, Lady in the Water was weird because it was like, I watched this movie. I'm like, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it on the level that I took it as. I'm like, well, he said this is a story that he tells his kids at night. So I took it as that. Right. I didn't take it as like, oh, I'm going to see a super serious film here or anything like that. I was like, I expected it to be silly. So I was okay, sure. Yeah.
And then we had the Happening.
Who?
Last Airbender, The Happening, Last Airbender, and After Earth.
After Earth.
I think everyone's hoping they forget most of those and just jump straight to Split and Glass.
Yeah, well, I mean, people started to fall off after Signs. Like some people, like Signs was the one I think that was actually kind of divisive.
They weren't unbreakable. They said, "Oh no, I can't do this anymore," and they broke.
Yeah. So that was the one
they were kind of. They're like, "Nope, gotta get out of here."
Yeah, so like when the other movies started coming out, I was like, all right, yeah, this is not good. I thought I wasn't sure what to make of The Happening. I thought Happening was like, are you serious, or are you trying to make this more of a comedy or whatever? Like, if you watch, like, there's no doubt when you watch The Visit, I was like, okay, yeah, there's definitely like a lot of comedic elements in here. It's like, you're definitely not supposed to take all of this seriously. It's like, it's very, very apparent. The little boy annoyed me at times, but other than that, I was like, yeah, it's very apparent. Some of this stuff is really supposed to be funny, and other stuff is like, okay, that's actually a little bit frightening. But that was kind of like his stage to come back. I was like, okay, he did this, and he did Split. I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, Blumhouse, I don't know if you know the joke about Blumhouse. Blumhouse, that company, you know, they do their, you know, they produce their movies and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, you want to make this movie? Here's $20. Wait, I need more than that. I mean, I got to hire actors. Oh, here's 25. Go make your movie. They specialize in that. That's just kind of like their thing, their quirk, or whatever you want to call it. Is just like movies done very, very on the cheap, but able to bring out. You'd be surprised what some people can actually bring out. Get Out is Blumhouse. Yeah, Get Out's Blumhouse. Split is Blumhouse. What is some other Blumhouse movies? There's been a lot of decent Blumhouse movies that have come out. Some they've kind of gone back to their sci-fi original type ways or whatever, but you know, for the most part, I would say more hits than misses.
Right.
In that regard. So, like I said, when I heard that Glass was coming out, I was like, oh wow, okay, they're gonna bring all of this together. Now, I was actually genuinely getting excited for this, and I was getting more excited. I will go ahead and say I was getting more excited for this movie than I was any one of the Marvel or DC movies that were coming out. I was just like, I actually want to see this more than anything else.
They also did Black KKK Klansman.
Yeah, Black Klansman. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you say it. Is it Black Klansman?
Black Klansman. Okay. Yeah.
They did that one.
Which I heard was pretty decent.
Yeah. I missed it.
I missed it too.
Halloween, that was pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, they did that one. Gosh, I'm trying to think what else. Happy Death Day, The Purge.
Right.
You said The Visit. They did that. Let's see. Sinister. They did that one.
Right.
What else we got here? Some other ones that you've not really heard of. Some just kind of goofy ones or whatever. Just B movies, really B movies.
Well, I think Happy Death Day. I mean, that's kind of their specialty, but they've got
like Insidious. They the kind of the scary movies. Of course, they did Jim and the Hologram, so you can't really.
Yeah.
You're like, well, hit and miss.
There are certain movies that they should not do.
Right.
But yeah.
So, like I said, lately, they've got some hits there.
They've done more hits than misses. I will say, especially recent.
Yeah, they've actually invested pretty well.
Yeah, they do. They manage their people and their money very well to be able to pull off this. So even if like the movie is not necessarily a hit, they still make their money back because the movie was so cheap. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So so yeah, it was like it's kind of like a little head nod to Hollywood.
Some of the scary movies, it's like they go, "Oh, I only made this much money." I go, "But they only put in $500,000." So you make, I only made like $10 million. You put in $500,000. That's really good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like you said, it's like bad pizza again. It's like, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's not bad.
Exactly.
You just made yourself, $9.5 million after everything expense wise.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said,
for Glass.
Yeah.
What did you want to start not like or like? Or
well,
are you just gonna?
I will start with
because I usually jot down what I thought was bad, or not really bad. Sometimes what's questionable, and then I jot down what I thought was really good, even if it was questionable. I go, well, what about this? But it's more of because like I wrote down, in the movie we learned about opposites, like you said, he's glass, and he's saying, and I'm like, so there are opposites. Who is the beast opposite?
Right,
because if the beast is the evil destroyer, where's the creator, the angel?
Right.
And I thought maybe it was the girl because she was able to stop
the
beast.
Yeah.
She was able to literally, the beauty tame the savage beast. I thought, well, maybe she's going to develop some, because she didn't have any connection to any of the, because I thought it was too on the nose for his son to have
Yeah.
superpowers. But then again, I'm like, well,
Could have.
he could have because he has superpowers. Maybe
Yeah.
it does some kind of gene. I mean,
Could
maybe
have.
it's like X-Men where it's a gene.
Yeah, could have.
I
but
don't know.
but getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here.
No, I know.
Yeah,
But
so,
I'm just saying in terms of good, I was like, okay, that's cool. But who is the good?
yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Mhm.
saying. So when I saw this trailer. This is the first trailer I saw for this movie, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more. This was definitely M. Night in his doing his thing, like just establishing the shots and everything.
simple.
Very simple, you know,
Great
just
angle,
yeah.
close-ups.
And
frame the
him
shot
doing
well.
his thing, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can kind of get with this or whatever. And this one just made the movie just seem very. It was like, oh, this is going to be really suspenseful.
Right.
And then the second trailer came out.
It's kind of like the house with the clock.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Once it was dark, Dylan was like, "What is this the same movie?"
This one was like, all right, this is. I was watching it, and I'm like, okay, this just looks silly. I mean, it just like there was just certain moments in it that I was just like, all right, this looks more like a Marvel movie than it does like one of his kind of movies.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, you know, this looks silly. It's not that I don't expect certain things to happen or him to say certain things. I was just kind of like, all right, I'm not so sure now. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to this movie. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going to happen and everything. And so I will say this. As I was watching this movie, I continuously was getting frustrated.
Really?
Yes. I was continuously getting frustrated because there was a lot of stuff that was going on that just raised too many questions.
Oh, yeah.
So
And we talked about this after the film.
yes.
That's
There
kind of
was-
one of the things I wrote down.
Yeah. And there was times where like, okay, you're right off the bat, you're going to have the battle or a battle
Yep.
between I forget what his actual superhero name is, but you have the Horde and
Versus, well, I
but
think they called them. I mean, they changed the name a few times in the film. They're talking about the Whisper, not the Whisper, but the Tiptoer or something.
yeah,
You
yeah. I
never
forget
mentioned
what
that
his
again.
actual the Overseer.
The Overseer,
okay.
yeah.
So you have that right off the bat. I'm like, okay, we're jumping right into it,
Sure.
and then they get caught, and then there's no
Conveniently.
yeah, and there's
You're
like
how?
and
here's the
they
thing.
know who they are,
Right? What and how?
and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
And then there's no news.
Right.
So like the girl that was in getting split, she gets a phone call or whatever, and she's like, oh well,
No, she doesn't get a phone call. That was one.
Oh,
of
she
the
got
things-
called into the principal's office.
Yeah, and I was like, that to me, that was a very strange cut because I've not seen Split, and all of a sudden I'm like, they're doing this stuff. All of a sudden they're in high school, and I'm like,
yeah, like
what's
who's this
going on?
random
And I looked
guy?
over and I was like, is there a different movie? What's going on? Did they? Because I thought maybe sometimes back
Yeah,
in the
'cause,
old
yeah.
days the films would have like broke and then they would
Yeah.
have put the wrong reel in. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before, but I'm like, what's going on? And I looked over and I was like, and I started watching.
As it goes on,
As it
you
goes
start
on, I
to
go, okay, so this is a girl.
That's the
from
girl from Split,
Okay,
yeah.
I was like,
That
all right, I
she's-
get it.
she was
but
one
it
of the
was so
survivors.
abrupt. I was like, it really took me out of the experience because I was getting into it. I was like, okay.
and then it showed her, and I was just like, okay, well,
Right.
she gets to call the principal's office.
But
and
let's
everything.
go back. Let's
But
go
like-
back to that though. Let's go back one step before
Okay.
that. So when they caught them, right? They caught the two, the bad guy and the good guy, Bruce Willis character and Jane Packerwood character.
Uh-huh.
First thing, how'd they know we're there?
Yeah,
Now,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
And how
Yeah.
did they know who they were? Secondly, and the lights, how did they know that was going to work?
Uh-huh.
Secondly, if you knew where the beast was and you didn't catch him by now
Uh-huh.
because they were waiting for
'Cause there's-
something else,
Yeah, because I mean,
were they waiting for both of them to get together to make it easier?
that's
Doesn't that kind of mean they knew that he had kidnapped these girls and where they were, and the girls could have been murdered horribly?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the thing. I'm like,
yeah.
are these the authorities?
Yeah,
What?
and that's the thing. I'm like, okay,
It
like
doesn't make any
how?
sense.
Yeah,
No.
so I'm like, all right, you found them somehow or whatever, and you showed up. There's no news, so I'm like, there's no news about that. You would think like
don't
this
see,
only
like,
happened a couple weeks ago
right,
with
and
the guy.
Like, you don't see like the DA coming in to interview people.
Yes,
you don't see the cops.
like
you don't see lawyers coming in.
Yes, you would have been like, and so they wind up in this hospital, all three of them together, Mr. Glass, the overseer, and the Horde, and they're all together. And she's the doctor, who you saw in the beginning of the trailer. She's talking with them and everything, and it's just like, there's just certain things I'm just like, well, you're trying to prove that they have this psychosis. And it's not a spoiler. You see it in the trailer. They're trying to prove like, oh, you just have this psychosis. You have this problem. You're not really a superhero. Come on, you're not. I mean, yes, he's super smart or whatever, but yeah, we have people around here that are super smart all the time or whatever. Look, there's been strong men. You are a very built person.
Actually, he doesn't look very built. He looks very normal. I mean, Bruce Willis' character looks really normal.
No, not Bruce Willis. McAvoy. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I
mean, I was like, okay, yeah, you're a strong person. I'm like, look, there's evidence that you're in a computer where you see like these rock climbers, they can scale walls.
Sure.
Like, look.
Well, a perfect example would be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. A lot of people say Bruce Lee was probably the best martial artist ever and probably the most fit man ever.
Right.
But normally you look at him and you're like, oh, he's in good shape. But then when he kind of did the flex thing and his like back muscles ripple, and you're like, holy cow. This guy's really, really ripped.
Yes.
But he's so small and he doesn't normally do that. But then when he really kind of flexes, you're like, holy cow. So he's like a muscle builder guy who looks big. Okay, he's a big guy. And he flexes, you're like, holy crap, that guy's really, really pumped.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm like, all right. And then you start talking to Bruce Willis, and you're just like, well, I'm pretty sure, like, you have this just intuitiveness that you don't really, when you touch people, you don't really get visions.
You're like the mesmerizer who reads people's thoughts.
Yeah, it's like you can just kind of like you see certain things and you're just great at deduction or whatever. You're great at the sleight of hand thing or whatever. It's like you're not really weak against water. You just think that's a psychosis thing or whatever. But it's like.
You had a trauma with water as a kid, therefore you're saying, oh no, it's my kryptonite.
It's your weakness or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, so why do you have a room? Why are you keeping him in a steel room
with a huge reinforced door
with water jets everywhere? Yeah. Why are you keeping him in there? Why are you like, okay?
And then she says, and if you try to break through the door, the waters will turn on and whatever. I'm like, okay, so you're just in a psychological term, you actually just fed into a psychosis because you're saying this room is designed because we know you're strong. If it wasn't, we would say like, okay, look, the door is reinforced. It doesn't have to be like 3 inches of steel or something. Yeah, like, the door is reinforced. So even though you think you're strong, you won't be able to get to that door. So you can kind of give him the kind of psych him out.
And then something happens.
And then say, well, those water nozzles will fill the room with water. You don't actually have to have the water.
Right.
He doesn't know.
Right. And then when it happens, like he does try to break out at one point. Of course they all do at some point. But like he tries to break out, the water comes off or goes off and everything, and she goes to see him and it's like, why are you look at you? This is just water, And she's like, and she's doing this whole like psychological thing. And I'm just like, it's just water. Look at you, like you're all over the place. You're acting like you can't even stand up. That doesn't make sense. Think about this and everything. And I'm just thinking like, why don't you just take a scalpel, try to cut him?
Right. Well, not even that. I was like, and you stick him with a needle.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be harmful, like to cut him with a scalpel, stab him, shoot him with a gun. It's like, Doc, look, can you get a shot of B12? I'm feeling kind of run down. Okay.
And then people are shown like the sun shows up.
Break.
And it's like that's the thing. Like they know the sun was in on this whole overseer thing. I'm like, wait, so no one's gonna arrest him?
Right.
Why is nobody questioning him? He's an accomplice. Why is nobody questioning? He shows up and he's like, hey, and tries to tell the story.
Not even that he shows up. If they knew who he was, his name, David is so he goes, David, it'd be all right. So then if they know who he is, then they obviously know where he either lives and or his business because his name is David Dunn. It's Dunn Security. So all right. And then they would raid that place and find out evidence of, there's all this information of them doing that. So now we're going to build the case. None of that happens.
None of that happens. I'm like, what is going on?
I don't.
What is happening? And then there's just like there's all of these logical errors after logical error, and I'm just like, M. Night, what are you doing? And like the more the movie went on, the more frustrated I was getting, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like,
Well, there was a scene that you showed in the preview that you had up with all three of them in a scene. You see Bruce Willis's unbreakable character, David, bolted to the floor with chains on, and the chair is bolted to the steel plate on the bolted to the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, again, why would you say you're not super strong, David, but yet still chain him up with chains and bolting him to the floor?
Yeah, and I'm like, what
why not just have regular psychiatric restraint, a straitjacket? Why not do that? Because he's not really strong. You're saying, you're not really strong.
And that's the
thing.
But
we don't want you to hurt yourself. Yeah, that's how you play.
And this is going on all throughout the movie. It's going through all throughout the movie. I'm like, come on, man, come on.
And the thing I said to you earlier was, okay, let's say the psychiatrist didn't want to bring it up. Again, not knowing what we know towards the end. But let's say the psychiatrist didn't want to bring it up because it would feed into his psychosis or delusion.
Hang on. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, though. Okay, we'll get to that part. We'll get to that part. We get to that part because those are logistical problems. I'm trying to go through. I'm going through like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, at this point, like towards the end of the movie, they're having like their main big climactic fight and everything like that. And then at this point, there's cops show up. And they don't say anything. They're just there in their armored gear with their batons and their shields and everything.
Trying not to hurt anybody.
And I'm just like,
they're not going to shoot.
They're not saying a single thing. No, they're just like, I'm like, can you just, hey, stop? You're under arrest. You're disturbing the peace.
Right. But get on the ground.
Get on the ground. Nothing. Nothing. I'm like, I'm like, do these cops not talk? Do these cops not talk? And I'm getting so frustrated. And then I'm just like, I was literally just like, damn it, M. Night. You're supposed to be making good movies now. Why are you? Oh.
Right.
Oh. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Because there is a twist. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but there is a twist.
Picture of the Hulk character with the Steve Buscemi's face, like,
yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead now. Now, I will say this: it only makes up for probably like 85% of the logistical errors, which is where we were going to get into in just a second. But like most of it, like all of that stuff, as you see it, all of that is going to start to make sense, and you're going to be like, oh, okay. Continue. Go on. Right. My bad. So, but getting back to some of the logic errors or whatever is, I can understand. All right, Mr. Glass is sedated, can't really do anything.
Right.
I can understand you getting into the Horde's head. I get Kevin. I can understand you getting into
as a psychiatrist,
head.
psychiatrist. I'm assuming psychiatrist. Because I could see her trying to talk through him and go, "Oh, you're a 9-year-old character, and you listen to them because they're an adult." See, and then the way she changed how she spoke to them.
Yeah,
and that's perfect.
Yeah, and I can see her getting inside the head. I can see her putting the doubt in, like he's only really been at it for a couple of weeks. Right. So I'm like, okay. However, the overseer, Bruce Willis's character, you have been doing this for 13 or some odd years or whatever, and I'm like, how is she able to get into your head?
Right.
David
Dunn,
So I'm like, how is she able to get inside your head? Because by this point, you have been doing this for 13 years.
Yep.
So I'm like, you can't just because you found out, just because there were some coincidental things that happened that led to him catching the Horde. But I'm like, still, I'm just like, if you're in these bonds, it's just like, oh, okay. So you don't think I'm super strong? Clink.
Yeah. Stand up.
Yeah.
Take and go bink and go bink.
Yeah.
And then take the thing, and go boom. Boom.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're right, I'm not super strong. But then she would have said,
brought up something.
Well, those are made out of lead-based pewters, so they're not real. We wanted you to think that. So anyone could bend them, kind of like she did with the Horde guy. Right. Those are really old bars. They were from the 1800s or something. And I go, but okay, now here's the thing about that. Just because we're old doesn't mean they're easily bendable. In fact, old things sometimes are harder to bend.
Exactly, because they were more pure.
Well, not only that, but they were thicker.
Yeah.
So they might be more brittle in some ways. And if they're rusted through, okay, I get that. But that cold wrought iron in some ways is harder because, first of all, the way they made some of those, it would they would have used techniques even back then that would have resisted, depending on who made it, resisted rust in some ways.
Right.
Because I mean, if you look at some old cannons from, say, heck, even from the 1700s, the only corrosion you'll see on it is minor. You clean it up, and because I guess whatever they coated it in or whatever they mixed in with it, the cannons themselves, heck, firearms from the 1700s are not. I mean, they're just dingy.
Yeah,
you could still use them, and even if they're buried, I mean, you're like, okay, clean it up, and guess what? It still fires. Now the wood part would be rotted away.
Right.
But that's because the wood rots.
Exactly. But,
so I'm just like, why doesn't he just go, okay, doctor, okay, and just say this to the doctor, okay, well, you know what? I can entertain those thoughts and ideas. I have no problem with that. You make a very valid argument. Because he's not a dumb guy.
Right.
He's doing a while. He goes, do me a favor, give me a shot of B12 because I'm feeling very tired and I need some energy.
Yeah.
As a vitamin boost. Because they were sedating Glass's character with injections, but mostly medication, mostly pills. But they did inject him. You saw that.
Right.
It's like, stick me with a needle. Take my blood. Doctor, take my blood. I want you to test my blood. And if you test my blood, so as soon as they try to stick it in his arm and it breaks, then you go, oh, well, that's a malfunctioning, faulty needle. You must have got a bad batch. Go get another needle.
Yes.
Get a bigger needle.
Exactly.
Break. Okay, I say, doctor, so you're a scientist. Let's prove this logically. Either you got the absolute worst needles and you got the every single defective batch, which is statistically very, very unlikely and very highly improbable, or my skin cannot be pierced and I might be unbreakable.
Exactly. He should have been definitely should have been the one.
Right.
Now,
I mean, he didn't have to say cut me or shoot me.
Yeah.
Something simple like, well, let's start with that. Take my blood. Okay.
Exactly.
She had him scanned and she could have manipulated that. That's fine. But like, slam his hand in the door. Something. I don't know.
Yeah. Something.
Bend the bed frame, or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, well, if I'm not super strong, why is the bed frame bent?
Exactly.
Why is it in a pretzel on the floor in the corner?
Exactly.
Was it made out of plastic? Was it Nerf? Because it didn't feel like Nerf. Go pick it up. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not going to entertain that.
Yeah.
She's like, well, David, I'm not going to play into your delusion. Well, no, go pick it up. No, this is not playing my delusion. This is proving a scientific principle of what is the density of that material.
Exactly.
Now again, he's not a science person, but he understands basic things.
Yes, and like I said, he's been doing it for 13 years. It's one of those things like, all right, I could see you getting the other two and everything, but I'm just like, you got to try a little bit harder with him.
I wrote down the premise seemed a bit weak, and they could test David's powers easily.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And he should have been the advocate for that.
Obviously, Mr. Glass was smart. She said that. He got out. He did this thing, blah, blah, blah. We know Mr. Glass she looked at his x-rays. We know his bones are really brittle. She saw all the injuries. You see like scars on him. So we got all that.
Yeah.
We know the Horde guy has got a lot more personalities.
Yes.
And the other thing, too, like when she went in, he kept trying to get past the lights that would flash and break him into a different personality. Which would thereby change what he was doing.
Right.
Because I think Kevin was the main. Was it Kevin?
Kevin is the 9-year-old? No, that is. Oh boy, who's the 9-year-old?
Let's see. I got it pulled up here. Let's see.
Kevin is. Oh boy.
Is it Dennis? Dennis is the 9-year-old?
No.
That was Kevin.
No, Kevin is the
main guy.
The main person. Really yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
It says Dennis, Patricia, Hedwig, the Beast, Kevin Winter.
Hedwig. Yeah.
Hedwig was the main.
Yes. That's the kid. Yeah, that's the little boy.
Because you notice when she spoke to him, she said, "Stop! You can't get past the light." He was okay. Because she spoke to him as an adult speaking to a child.
Exactly.
And he was like, "Okay." But that's the dynamic. You go,
right.
Okay, cool. So because she asked, "Oh, well, you got to listen to her because you got to listen to Patricia because she's the adult."
Exactly.
Goes, well, yeah. So okay.
Exactly.
So Oliver, Kendall Crumb is the main, is a real person,
right?
So,
right.
But so I think we were kind of mostly like, what's going on? Something is odd.
Yeah,
we couldn't figure out what it was. We didn't really know what it was.
I was just getting frustrated because of like the other two movies, at least of like, there are sometimes you have to suspend your disbelief on certain things in those movies, but at least I'm like, okay, you grounded this a little bit. This is just like, what are you doing? And what are you doing? There's way too much stuff that's going on here that just would not happen. In not the universe that you built until like you see what's happening. You're like, oh, Okay, proceed. But yeah, the twist. There are several. One of them is very unnecessary. But like I said, there's three twists that go on in this movie. I think one of them is very unnecessary. There's a couple of ones that are just kind of like, okay, like because it's Mr. Glass doing his thing, and you know.
Now without the spoiler, can you kind of hint to me what was the unnecessary twist?
Train.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh, that was, in my opinion, that was like so unbelievably weak. And
it didn't need to happen.
No,
because it didn't really.
They could have made it a different, which again, because when you learn about the twist about why something happened, and because people were like, wait a minute, that name sounds familiar. It's like, wait a minute, and they figured out, oh, but it didn't have to be. Like I said, the train thing, it could have been something else because those other things happened, and still would have worked, right. So,
yeah, it just didn't have to line up that way.
Yeah, it didn't have to be so perfectly. Oh well, they got some kind of connection here or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
I will.
They could have had a connection in a different way, where they were both connected to the other character that the twist is unnecessary about, and you're like, and still it would have worked.
Yes.
You would have said,
yeah, so that was
kind of
said,
blah, 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 this happened and this is why.
Yeah.
And then he still would have had the exact same reaction because the same thing would have happened, but not exactly to the characters that were square pegged in that round hole as hard as possible.
Exactly.
And I was like,
exactly. I will say that I do enjoy Mr. Glass. I enjoyed just his overall intelligence, how he was able to outsmart these people.
Right. Well, and I will say that the people, it wasn't really hard to outsmart them.
Some of them it really wasn't.
I think a Cocker Spaniel could have outsmarted them, to be honest with you.
Some of them it wasn't. But
it's like, oh Lord.
There are some characters in there. I'm just like, okay, it's the what is it? It's the. I'll call it like it is. It's the stupid white person in the horror movie. Yes. I call it like it is. And I'm like...
But like I said to you, I was like, why would you get the most inept people working at a facility that you know there are three very dangerous people? And two of them are really bad, like evil. The one guy, David Dunn is nice. He's a vigilante. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But you know what he did? He never murdered a bunch of people. Right?
Right.
I mean, from far as we could determine from the new stuff, he just... maybe beat up bad guys or at least left them for the cops to get, like he did for them. But he did kill that one guy, but that guy deserved to die back in Unbreakable, right? Because he killed that guy, but that guy was a bad guy. He killed a bunch of people too, like the Beast did. But even so, it's like he was at least doing it for an altruistic means. Even if he was a bad guy, at least he was doing it for good reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was not a threat to anybody. But the other two were a dangerous threat. And you're like, okay, so you have the most inept people who shirk the responsibilities on a regular basis, given that this guy, Mr. Glass, has already done these things. You're like, well, why would you keep letting your guard down then?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't know.
It was at this point I was kind of like, all right, are you... It was kind of where I'm like, are you doing this for us, the audience, to make it kind of feel like it's like a little bit more realistic because you have these people that are just kind of, they're lazy at their job and stuff like that. You have people like
but
that.
Here's the other thing. I don't think those people in the hospital worked for the other twist.
No, they don't.
They couldn't have, because if that were the case, they would not have been in as inept.
Right.
Because they were like, oh, this thing, we got to make sure this is going on. But the other people weren't doing that.
Yeah.
So it must have been, the hospital must have been run by that other whatever. And she was the only one who was...
Right. Everyone else was kind of like, everyone else
just
was
regular people working doing their job.
Exactly.
Although very, very badly.
Yeah.
Except for the housemaid or something at the one point when she goes, they're not supposed to be here.
Exactly.
And she calls someone.
And the security guard just lets them out.
I know. Okay.
And it's kind of like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, these are the worst disguises in the world. And you know what Mr. Glass looks like.
You've seen him. He's been there the longest. You've seen him.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're just going to, go ahead.
Well, and the other thing is, why would the guard let that person out knowing there's nobody else in there? Because the only people who would be in there would be the one red-headed orderly guy and the dark-haired orderly guy who just let in. There's nobody else there.
Yeah.
So why would you let some other random person out who never went in?
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense. Right?
So
I'm like, what?
Yeah. I mean, the most you could probably argue about that is like, oh, that's just a temp security guard. That was his first day there or something like that. But he still should have been.
That would have been the Stan Lee cameo if Stan Lee was alive.
Yeah, it was like,
oh, yeah, it's my first day on the job. Sorry, that would have been kind of funny. Like if Stan Lee was like, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's probably the most argument you could probably get out of it. But like, I do enjoy Mr. Glass.
But hang on, let's not get off that topic just yet. When the other orderly came in, right near the end, I'm like, and you see there's something wrong.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
You don't call anybody. You don't.
That's what I was saying.
Hit the panic button. You don't do anything. You just go, what? That's kind of weird. Why is that guy over there?
That's what I said. Stupid white person in a horror movie cliche.
Like you hear the noise, you go, let's split up and find out why the noise is.
Yes, exactly.
No, let's go. Let's leave.
Exactly.
As a group, let's go.
And I'm like, it was one of those kind of like, all right, man, look. And this is why part of why I'm so hard on horror movies and stuff, because this stuff happens a lot. Right. And I'm like, at some point, like, we have all of this stuff going on. It's like, look, you need to treat black people better in these movies. You need to treat Asians better. You need to treat women better. And I'm just like, at some point in horror movies, you got to start treating white people better. I'm like, yeah, you should be offended.
I am. And here's the thing. I mean, I've seen movies where that happens, and like they're in a big group, and they're like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen. Let's all split up and find the bad guy. And I'm like, I'll be like, if I were in that group, I'd go, yeah, I'll tell you what, you go that way. And as he goes away, I go, come on, guys, let's all go this way. And then as he's getting horribly murdered, the other 8 of us get away. And then the cops come and they catch the bad guy. You know what I mean? It's like, and we lock the door on the way out or something.
Yeah, or something. It was just one of those like things. Like there's a couple of characters you're just like, all right, come on, man. But yeah, like I said, Mr. Glass, thoroughly enjoyed. I will say for the most part, the acting is like, okay, if you go to an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you're going to get some form of some performances are not going to be as good as they should be. There's some lines that are delivered flat, but that's mostly his style. So you're kind of like, okay, if you go into this movie, you're kind of, it's not necessarily, I'm not giving him a pass for that, but I'm saying like, you can kind of expect it.
Well, I think, but here, I think why, in the context of the movie, I think like if you see the previews with the psychiatrist, she's not hardly talking much at all. She's being very calm. It's like this delusion of you being superheroes. And I think the reason why is because the premise of the idea of this guy is a multiple personality, whatever, cognitive dissociative, whatever disorder, what do you call it? And one of them is a creature, basically, like he's like, that and Mr. Glass being so and we're talking superheroes and this guy's unbreakable. That's kind of the opposite thing. You got to go, well, we got to tone it down so much, because if not, you're Marvel and you're doing these crazy expositions. Well,
see, that's the thing. Like with most of his movies do have that in there,
right.
Where it was just like there's the life has been sucked. It's not all of the lines. It's just like sometimes I'm like, all right, this is weird. There's no inflection to what you just said there.
Well, I think why, if you look at most of his movies, again, I haven't seen all of his movies, but if you look at most of them, I think why is so that way when you have that whatever the twist or thing is, it's so wow, because it was so simple up to that point. Like holy cow! It's like it's like eating a very bland meal.
Yes.
And then having a really rich chocolate cake. You see what I mean? And you're like, holy cow, this cake is so bursting full of energy, because everything else was okay. You're like, okay. And they're like, oh my God, this dessert is just, my taste buds are dancing. The little things are going, you're like, whoa.
True, but I would argue you could still let them at least speak normally to a certain degree.
I get that. I get that. And then, and like I said, with David Dunn's character, he doesn't say hardly anything about him as the character or him as the superhero.
Right.
They don't. There's almost no interaction because the first part of the movie is mostly him.
Right.
Until they catch him and the Beast, and then it's mostly Mr. Glass and the Beast with the psychiatrist, and he's occasionally there. And then of course at the end you have the big thing.
Right.
But now in terms of the look. I think he does. Is that up right now on the screen?
No, not yet.
Okay. But in terms of the look, in some ways, I think the framework was a lot like Clint Eastwood. Really tight close-ups. The people, but also the background told the story. The lighting was perfect. It was real. It didn't
Yes.
seem like it was a Hollywood, because a lot of it was kind of dark, but it wasn't dark in like, oh, we couldn't afford lights. It was in that particular place. That's what the lighting would be.
Exactly.
Like in the tunnels, or as I'm spitting here, in the tunnels or in the hospital, like very homogenous looking, kind of like little horrible lights.
Yeah.
Or in the radiography, or the laser room or whatever, and you get that weird kind of ambient light, and so all that worked really well. In the light in the warehouse and stuff, you're like, okay, the outside lights, everything was not pretty, because the world isn't necessarily the world itself isn't all pretty. There's dirty buildings, and you're talking. This is the dirty part of the thing.
Yes.
So the look, the feel,
and
it felt like really, you're like, the feeling was like, ooh, it's really tense, and it's like, what's going to happen?
He is
and then, like
very
you said, the uneasy feeling of, why don't they do this? And see, that's good, because then it makes you really invested in the movie. I think.
Well,
the sound was good. Like you said, the
sound was
like,
sound was good.
Like, what's
we
going
heard
on
something
there?
over like, huh?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
And I think the suspense was good mostly. There was some parts
that's the one thing I can definitely say about M. Night Shyamalan. When he's doing his suspense movies, like he can just do those close-ups, and it's just like he lingers on it for so long that it's uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable because like that's the feeling you're supposed to have right now. It's like you're so close. You're
like this girl here. The girl picture. I'm like, it's kind of uncomfortable because you're like right up in her face.
Like, it's like.
You're like, and then I looked and I was like, wow, it's almost like it's a CGI.
Yes.
Because it was so close. And the I don't know, the frame or what am I looking for? It was the what's the word I'm looking for?
Not sure.
Well, I mean, it was the clarity of her face was almost unnatural. You're like, there's no way a person could look like this.
Right.
It looked so. I mean, her face was, and I'm not trying to sound creepy or nothing, but her face was perfect. There was not a blemish on it. I mean, if you see her face, it's not a blemish on it.
Yeah.
She was just sitting there, and she kind of was emotional, but they were so close up on her face. You're like, okay, I'm getting a little uncomfortable because I'm staring at this young girl's face.
Exactly.
And
but see, it works on stuff like that because like that's the way you should feel. You should feel uncomfortable.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily work for movies like this.
Yeah, like
The Last Airbender, where you're just kind of like, all right, you're spitting on the camera now. Back up a little bit here,
it's
but
like, close your mouth.
Yeah, but it's like, come on, it's stuff like that. Like that's his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
In a sense, like he could really bring out like that just uncomfortable tension. But
she seemed fake. She didn't seem like a real person because her face was so perfect.
Right.
Skin and because that's why I thought it was CGI. I was like, wow, is that
like, no,
CGI?
that's how she looks.
Did they touch her face? You're like, no, that's how she looks. I'm like, it's like, wow, she looks like an animated character,
like a doll almost.
Yes,
like a doll. Yeah.
And that was again a little bit unnerving because you're like, okay, dolls are creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
no offense, Anya.
No. She's lovely. She's a lovely woman.
Yeah,
I mean, actress wise.
Yeah.
I thought.
But
she was a very good
I completely understand. It was just like, and like I said, he knows how to use that.
Yeah.
He knows how to use that. He knows how to use those uncomfortable close-ups and just linger. You're just kind of like. It just almost like just kind of gives you chills or whatever.
Right. Because they were. I think the principal. Somebody was talking as they were doing the closes in a few spots like that when they were getting really close on her face, and so she was just reacting, and it was cool because I think he lingered because a lot of times directors will linger just so they can see what happens,
right,
and get a really good take, and so she might have done that several times before she got the right one, or maybe that was her second take, who knows? And sometimes her first take is really good, and they go a few more. Let's do a few more as like fillers just in case, or, in case
for safety,
cut away or something, So, but other than that, I mean, I think this was his best movie since those other ones.
Since the ones that came out back then.
I mean, as for Split, I don't know. I've not seen it. So, but
I will say, yes, I will say, as far as Split goes, there's one thing I did want to say. This is like, I know he cut his hair pretty much for X-Men, so to be the bald Professor X and everything like that. And I will say, since Split has come out, there are some like pictures of people like that have gotten of him where it's just like he looks a little just unhinged.
Like there? Like that one?
Yeah, he just looks a little he looks like the Like he looks like the beast is about to come out of him right now.
It's like Professor X's deranged twin brother or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, now, did you want to talk about that
The
other twist, the ending bit?
Oh yeah, just get I just wanted to give.
Go for it.
Just wanted to just talk about James for a little bit here.
Sure.
This one, I don't know where I got this one from. Like he about to mess somebody up.
I know. He's like,
you ask me one more. Ask me one more goddamn question to see what happens.
He's like, actually, or either that or like, I'm gonna hold my breath until you go away. Because it's kind of like with that, I'm gonna hold my breath until you go away.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say he definitely has the most to do character-wise because he has to bring out all of these different personalities.
Totally brilliant.
He sold it.
Yes.
He sells every single one. And that's the thing, like when in Split, he's really the centerpiece around it. I mean, yeah, Anya's good too. The other girls are good, but they do kind of get sidelined because of James McAvoy here. Like he's so good.
Right.
At what he's doing, it's like, man, like he's like, you're bringing all these different personalities in, and you could really, you don't feel like anything's hammy or over the top or anything. Right. It's just like, and to the point where I'm just like, just different facial movements, different different way, the way he presents himself,
the way he acted, his facial features, his body motions, all different. Brilliant. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff over the years. Last King of Scotland, X-Men movies. I mean, some earlier stuff he did. Just really, really, really well overall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, he definitely,
impressive.
Like I say, he did a good job. Like I said, there are some questionable acting choices there in the film and stuff like that, but like I said, it's one of those things that kind of comes with an M. Night. I'm not excusing it, but I'm just saying, like, if you've watched pretty much any of his movies, it's kind of like, all right, you see this kind of pattern and stuff going. Like I said, some people just speak a little off, it's kind of like, all right, you just kind of, eventually you're just kind of like, all right, I just go with it. Fine.
Right. Well, I'll mention this as a kind of in passing funny thing near the end when there were some ending twist things happening. I saw people walking out and I was like, people are walking out. Oh my God. But I also say this. We went to the movie the day it opened. Yeah, the theater was pretty much empty though.
Yes,
and there was 2 theaters in town showing the movie, so maybe everybody was at the other theater. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. It came out around the same time, like at least in this area, like
Eastern
it came
North
out
Carolina,
around. It came out around the time it comes out the same weekend that. What's the name?
Punisher,
Dragon Ball,
and
Punisher on Netflix. And Dragon Ball Super Broly had come out, and that was only playing at the AMC. So I was like, all right, well, that's going to draw a bigger crowd.
But the parking lot was empty. I mean, not just our theater,
and it was a Friday night.
Yeah, and it was a Friday night. I'm like, what? I don't know. That was just weird. Yeah. I mean, I walked in and I was like, oh, this isn't good for this movie. Because Aquaman was still doing really well. Aquaman's still doing really well. Now this one came out, so we'll have to see about, that. I mean, I think, like I said, in terms of this, I think this was better than Aquaman in terms of the acting and the characters a lot. Because Aquaman is kind of a popcorn movie.
Yes,
I'm not faulting for that.
Definitely.
I'm not faulting for that. I mean, this one's definitely more the twist and the tension, like you said, the frustration and the story. But all that's perfect because it's supposed to be. With Aquaman, there was some frustration. It was kind of weird, dumb things like this movie. But like that's a popcorn movie. It's a superhero movie. This one is... I think someone on one of the online things said, or one of the articles or reviews said, it's not the superhero movie you expect it to be.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I totally get that. True. But this is grounded in more reality.
Yes.
Instead of a superhero universe where you expect superheroes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like in the Stanley Cutaway, and like you said before when we did the Infinity War, it's like, what, you kids never seen a spaceship in New York City before?
Exactly. I mean, it's the norm.
Yeah, that's funny because, well, that guy would have seen it because he saw it before.
Exactly.
Because it happened in one of the other movies.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. That's funny.
Yeah. So it was, this was definitely one of his better movies.
But what about the twist thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So,
the twist.
All right. So there's a death scene.
There's a couple of twists that, we were like, okay, oh, wow, what's up with that? Because they lingered at one part, and I'm like, why are they showing that? And I'm like, oh, this is some kind of weird, like I said, a Highlander TV series. Like, oh, these are this group of people who are watching the Immortals. And
Yeah.
that's kind of who these people are.
Yeah,
kind of.
and once I saw that, I started to see I
like,
saw where the other. I knew the other one
then
was
you're like,
coming.
okay,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the
That's
one
why
that was
they
kind of
did
like
those
that
things.
made me sit down. And I was kind of like, oh,
That's why, yeah.
I'm sorry,
That's
go
why.
ahead.
That's why you didn't see the DA. That's why you didn't see any defense attorneys. That's why you didn't see the cops.
Yeah, you start to.
No one went in front of a judge. There was nothing in the news about
Exactly.
it. You're like, okay.
Exactly. So
Okay, some nefarious Illuminati cabal or something is in charge of something or blah blah.
Right,
Blah. I'm like,
right.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
But they still didn't tell. They still didn't tell you how they found out.
Right.
Like who those specific. I mean, yeah, okay, they get it. Like, okay, superheroes or people doing bad things exist.
Right.
I get that. No problem. People in town would be like, oh, what's going on with this overseer guy? I get that. But how would these people find out who that guy was?
Right. Well, I can maybe
all of a sudden, when he's in the middle of the dark part of the, a part of the city that he doesn't usually go to.
Right.
That's I'm like, well, what? That's just weird.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of, it is one of those things. That's another thing. Like, how would you know? But
right.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was like there is a death scene in this movie. Man.
It's kind of like the Spider-Man death scene in Infinity Wars. Kind of. A little bit. 'Cause it lingered a little bit too long. Because nobody else did that. In Infinity War, nobody else was like, they were like, gone.
Yeah.
And for some reason he didn't. I'm like, what?
And, well, it probably didn't hit you like that. It hit, like, Spider-Man's death hit me. It was, for me, it was more like, this was Deadpool. This was just
I get that, but I'm just saying, if in the context of the movie where everyone else just sort of disappeared quickly, no one like, and I would expect a character, say, like, Star-Lord, because he's part star being. Maybe he would take longer to disappear. You know what I mean? Because he has a star being DNA or whatever.
Right.
So to him, I could see him taking a little more time to die because, well, he's more powerful in some ways.
Right.
Whereas Spider-Man is just a superhero, like all the other superheroes are just
right. They're just
but
gone.
he's just like, oh, I don't feel so good. Everybody else was like, oh, I'm dying, and I was like, they were dust.
Yeah, and this was definitely those old Warner Bugs Bunny deaths. So
it was.
Tell my mother I love her.
I know.
Tell my daddy I love her too. I'm like, okay.
Bury my body back in Cucamonga.
It's like, all right, die.
I know.
So
and I was looking for the fast forward button. I was like,
yeah. There is a death here. I was just kind of like, okay, please. And it was like, there is a very touching line at the end. Like when this person actually does die, I'm like, there was a very touching line. I'm like, man, if you would have just said that,
that's it.
That would have, and left it at that. I'm like, man, that would have been just.
Well, and it would have, because number one, it wouldn't have been like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it would have said, like you said, if the guy would have, the character, if he would have said, as the character, hold on to me and I will hold on, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you'd be like, that's, wow, yeah, he was a bad, the whole thing. You're like, but then, because you felt a certain way, then it would make you feel a different way, and you're like, that would have been so much better. So I don't know why. I mean, it's M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know.
I don't. There were certain things I'm just like, I don't know about this. I'm just like I said, I definitely think it's one of his better movies.
Yep.
Obviously, like I said, I don't think it's better than The Sixth Sense or whatever.
No.
Or even Unbreakable for that matter, except because you could probably say like, well, both endings kind of. Yeah.
Well,
the ending of this one was actually maybe a little bit better because you didn't end with the text of Unbreakable.
It's like, I'll do the reverse of Star Wars. I'll put the text at the end.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's kind of like
scroll the thing up. Yeah.
It felt like the end of a TV show at the end of Unbreakable or something like that.
Or end of Law and Order.
Yeah.
It's like, the people in this thing are fictitious.
Yes. So I was like, okay. I don't know how I would.
What?
I'm trying to think of like if it actually is better than Split. I'd probably say Split's a little.
Like I said, I've not seen it.
You haven't seen it yet, so yeah, I would
say.
probably say Split's. It might be on the same level. It's on the same level as Split. Maybe Split was actually a little bit better.
Right.
But it's just definitely one of his better movies. So, and it's like I said, different kind of superhero film, stuff that you don't expect to see coming or whatever. And it is one of those movies like just go with it for a while. Trust. And it is one of the things that's like just trust it. Trust them. Because that was the thing like with Split. It was like when the Beast came out, you had to just kind of like, all right, trust him. Trust him. And then we see
director.
Not
the Beast.
The
not
director.
The Beast.
Don't trust the Beast.
Never trust the Beast.
But trust the director. And then you see like the twist, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this one, it's the move, like the most of the movie leading up to one of that twist. You're just kind of like, just go with it. Go with it. This is going somewhere.
Right.
This is going somewhere. Just hang on. Okay. Yeah, don't get mad like I did.
You sneaky little, you cheeky little monkey, you.
Don't get mad like I did and wind up just feeling stupid at the end of it. It's like, damn it.
I would have. Hey, the people behind you would have got mad. You would. Oh wait, there's nobody behind you because the theater was pretty much empty.
The theater was
so you
pretty
much.
much.
You could have done all you wanted. No one would have cared.
Yeah, somebody brought a baby.
We were like, well, who would bring a baby to this?
We thought it was part of the movie.
I was like, did I hear a baby? Did the guy have another character in it? Like, awesome, he's a baby too. That's crazy. It's like he's a baby who's like an infant, like who can't talk. But he can
I know, right?
It's like, wow, I don't know, that's weird.
Yeah, so those are our thoughts on Glass. I almost said Split, but yeah.
I do have to say, like, there's the costume. You might have seen it. Yeah, they showed it. The Samuel Jackson character. He has an MG.
Oh yeah,
lapel pin or MG tie tack.
Yeah, because he's
Mr. Glass.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, there it is, MG right there.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean,
bling.
If it was anybody, like, it would definitely be Mr. Glass, just because of how comic oriented.
Is he wearing an ascot?
Yes.
That what that is? Okay.
I mean, if as comic book oriented and nerdy as he is, yes, definitely.
And I will say this. He's the first character that I've seen that could pull an ascot, like really pull off the ascot look, since Freddy from the Scooby-Doo gang. Because, I mean, nobody else between those two, so from the 60s until the 21st century, nobody could have pulled off an ascot. And Samuel L. Jackson and Mr. Glass can totally do that. In fact, he puts Freddy to shame because he's rocking that ascot, man. I was going
to say, like, well, what about Sherlock Holmes? I'm like, well, no, that's like, that's not modern times. So I'm like, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely surprisingly one of his better films.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it after I sat down.
Yeah, he calmed down. I was like, he's like, okay, yeah. I'm kind of annoyed about some of that, but he goes, oh man, it was actually pretty good though. I get it now. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So
yeah. All right.
So yeah, we give it big, kudos, thumbs,
yes.
applauses, bows. We pay our respects to M. Night Shyamalan coming back, to the good side, as it were, of the movies.
Things that he came back to his wheelhouse to where, like, okay, he knows that he could do this kind of stuff or whatever. Right. I mean, I don't blame the dude for branching out,
right?
And doing and wanting to do other things and stuff like that. But like, if you're going to branch out and you're going to do other things, that means you're going to have to change up certain things that you do. You know?
And I think some of it, though, and again, I can see what you're saying, but I do think some of that, legitimate concerns and things you said that I also kind of agree with, I think a lot of that was done because it was in the context of a normalcy in the world that superheroes don't exist.
Right.
And so these people, like the psychiatrists, were saying, no, y'all are just, delusional.
Right.
And she really did try to start convince both him and the Beast guy.
Right.
Because first of all, the Beast was like, where's that guy? Where's the guy? And the characters are like, he stopped the Beast. He was scared of him. I'm like, okay, cool. I get that. And then...
which put that initial doubt in him anyway.
Yes, yeah. And they're like, oh, no, I didn't do that. Oh, wait, what? And so, yeah, she was very convincing. I'm like, okay, because she's a psychiatrist. She's supposed to say, okay, that's, look, let's think that's logical. Come on.
Yeah. And she has her moment when she does, she breaks. Like, wow. She cracks. And it's definitely, it's earned. It's earned when it happens.
Yeah. So yeah. And then there was that other twist of like, why is he doing that? I thought it was because of the building thing, but it was something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the end, I don't know. I guess it's okay. I think you can explain away the end, the very ending end. I mean, people can kind of go, well, that's not, we're just, it's
that's what I was saying. Like both of the endings were kind of like of Unbreakable, and this one I was kind of like, okay.
Well, this one had a more wrapped up ish ending.
Yeah.
It didn't end in a text scrawl,
right?
No one was texting in the ending.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, put this on the end. But it was like I think you said an origin story, which in some ways I get, but I still wish that they had cut to like. I don't know, someone has seen something.
Yes, or another extraordinary person.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Right, exactly. It's like someone was watching the thing or something happened and they go, oh, and then like, the girl, heals the puppy and they get hit by the car or something. And they're like, whoa, what? That's crazy, or something, I don't know. So something like that they could have done. I mean, it would have been kind of like the Marvel with the broom kid at the end of the Last Jedi, maybe, but I don't know if it's an origin story and you're trying to convince people that they might have superpowers in some way. Again, not like flying or anything, but like, oh, I can read minds, or oh, I do know the future, or I do have an extraordinary sense of hearing, or something simple. Right. Because again, nobody, even David's character wasn't so over the top. He was just unbreakable. Right. He wasn't super strong. He was stronger than most people, but he wasn't super strong. He was technically bulletproof, I guess, because he couldn't have been broken.
Couldn't shoot. Couldn't shoot him.
But no one really shot at him ever that we ever saw. I mean, even in Unbreakable, the kid had the gun and was going to release, but he didn't shoot him. The Beast, apparently, he kept saying he was bulletproof, but
he took 2 shotguns.
But now here's something I did also notice about when he transformed into the Beast. You saw marks on him, where he was the other characters, they weren't there. Yep. So then I was like, okay, that's weird. Yeah. I was like, that's kind of cool. I like that because he had like injuries, like a cut or maybe the shot.
The shot. He got shot.
When he was the people, I didn't see them. And I was like, oh wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's he transforms into a completely different person.
That was a really great detail. And I was like, wow. So if you really pay attention, like, well, that's weird. I don't know. That's about all I got. I mean,
that's it. We're going to take a quick break, and we're probably going to come back and do probably the quickest Aquaman review that we can do.
We're going to jump into the kiddie pool and do an Aquaman.
Yeah, and we'll be right back after this. How's it going, guys? We are back with our final review for the night, or evening, or whatever time you're watching this. And we're going to go ahead and get our feet wet a little bit with some Aquaman. It's going to be a quick review.
We're going to dip our tootsies in the nice water here.
That's it. Just go for a quick swim, and we're good.
We're going to be in the kiddie pool. We're not going to be going in the deep end.
William has seen it more recently than I have. I saw it back in November when it came out. You know what? Go ahead and give your thoughts, William, because my thoughts will be really quick because I don't remember a lot of details that I remember from back then.
I'm just going to... There were some inconsistencies.
Yes.
You want me to mention the one that we talked about a little bit, just briefly?
Sure.
Okay, so in the scene at the very beginning, Black Manta, main character, I forget his actual name, talking to his father in the middle of the pirate thing, which is weird. Michael Beach, I think is a great actor, and I think he's very underrated and very underused. Right. But great to see him there because I like him. I mean, whenever I see him, he's very interesting. Giving him the dagger from his grandfather, who was the first black frogman in World War II. There were no black frogmen in World War II. I'm sorry, that's not true.
Yes.
Now, is it a nitpicky thing? A little bit, yes. Is it kind of like nitpicky? It's a comic movie, but you know what? Here's the thing: there were brave, medal-winning, strong pillars of the black community who were black frogmen in the Korean War. Do that. Say your grandfather, because the time period isn't that different. It's only a few years. You could have done that, and I think that would have been better because you're showcasing an important thing of, yes, finally, skin color people who, I think I don't, I got no fight with people of different colors or cultures. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with being white, and I'm cool with him being black. We're cool dudes. We're dudes. I don't care. I don't care. But I'm like, okay, if you're going to talk about time periods in history, please be accurate. Yeah. I know it's a comic book movie. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to talk about time periods in history, focus on the good and the bad.
Yes.
Because again, in the comic book, you're focusing in this movie the good and the bad.
Yeah.
That to me is balance. But anyway,
No,
mention the guys in Korean War were good, and then people will go, oh, that's interesting, and look it up because people go now interesting and they go, oh, there are no black frogmen in World War II.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why'd they say that?
And just piggybacking off of that, you know, like you recently, well, not recently, but you know, a couple years ago, you did have a movie that came out that addressed like the issues of women, you know, having rights back in, you know, like the 1920s and 30s or whatever. So I'm like, you did that with Wonder Woman. It was for you show the history for the better and the worse. So, you know, just it's stuff like that because you do have to understand that this is an audience. Not saying everyone out there, not saying everyone out there, but there are people out there who's like, you talk about Civil War, they think Iron Man and Captain America. That's the first thing that pops in their head. So understand, like there are certain people out there that will take what you say to heart, and they'll maybe go back and look at or hear certain things like this. I was like, well, yeah, there's black people around and doing this stuff or whatever. And there's going to be people like that know, or people from that time period that's going to say like, no, you wish, but no.
Are there brave men in every war of every color? Absolutely. Cool. There's some really cool characters throughout history you can focus on. And I would say do that. And only because you have an audience that's maybe a little bit, well, first of all, the captains come to see the show, but then you're showcasing important milestones in history, especially the characters you're going to base that off of. Which again, you're like, okay, I'm going to say, hey, look, the guys are bad guys. They're pirates. They're killing people. Okay, you know, not great guys. But then you have this interesting moment. You're like, the father's giving something of importance to his son. An awkward moment in the middle of the
in the middle of the heist.
I'm not sure why they didn't do that later when they're drinking a beer or something, but anyway. And I'm like, okay, cool, you're going to showcase that and make a big deal out of it. Why not make it an accurate big deal, at least in some ways? Because you're basing it off of an actual historical type thing. That's just my opinion.
An important thing.
We talk about this in other movies. I'm like, you can't, I don't know, change history or...
Can't always sugarcoat history.
Sugarcoat it.
Can't always sugarcoat it.
Well, everything's wonderful. It wasn't fine. I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, you can showcase that in a negative way too, and go, but they still did great. I mean, there were great. Hey, while the Japanese people, American citizens, were interned in internment camps out in the west of the United States in the desert areas, their sons were fighting in World War II. Some of the most brave and honorable and decorated soldiers in the American history, while their own people and family were suffering in the internment camps we put them in, not Nazi, you know, death camps. But not the hotels either. So focus on that, but also focus on, but they still fought bravely. They still exuded everything that made America great. That's my opinion, but that's just my thing. Now,
I gotcha.
I will say that was one bad thing that annoyed me because I like history, and I was like, okay, why not showcase the good parts? And also focus, like you said, on women didn't have rights. Women were treated as these kind of citizens. You know, people of different colors were not treated because you know, people in power wanted to keep themselves in power and didn't want to give power away. I get all that, and it doesn't have to be necessarily, you know, racial. It's like, well, I have power and I don't want to give it to anybody, right? Because like, you know, British history was like that too. It's like, well, the king I have power, and then other things happen, but. There were some inconsistencies, like the trident thing. Like she had her trident at the beginning, was fighting off the bad guys, but then she's like, I better leave, and then the trident's gone. I'm like, why didn't you take the trident with her? Okay, why didn't she say, I'm gonna leave my trident for my son? Something.
She just leaves it behind.
It's just not there, like, and I'm like, where is it? I don't know. But again, that's kind of nitpicky. Yeah, I get it. Maybe there was a scene or something. I don't know.
Scene that got cut or something. Maybe. But this thing is, it didn't make it in the movie. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like it you could. I don't like nitpicky is kind of a touchy subject or a touchy word. I don't like to use that a whole lot because what can, you know, it could be nitpicky for myself could be like something, you know, actually that could really bother somebody else, you know. Same thing for you.
Well,
really bothers somebody else.
For me, I think. I'm critiquing it.
Yeah,
but I mean, again, people are like, well, you can't say that word because it's blah blah blah, and I'm like, whatever you fill in, it doesn't mean anything of any slight to anybody. It just is a terminology that I'm using that comes to my mind. I go, well, yes, I'm looking at the finer details of why this thing is happening, or maybe why it shouldn't. You know, it's a critique. You want to use fancy
Exactly.
French words. Use fancy French words if you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as that you know.
It's
image or message comes across, the terminology isn't that big. It's not slighted towards any group or anything.
It's not even that. It's just like, you know, if you're going to do something, if you make a mistake, and everyone's going to make a mistake in a film or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, it may be something like, you know, like I make stuff, you know, I make fan films and stuff like that. And then I look at it and, you know, I'll look at something and then my friend Hakeem will be like, hey, man, you see that little, like that paper towel over there? That's just flat. Or the script is right there on the table. I'm like, you know, but like something like that. It's just like, you may not see it. The filmmaker may not see it or just may not even notice it. But it's, you know, it's up to us to like, you know, as we're looking at it, to like say like, hey, you got a little inaccuracy going on here or whatever. That's how they get better.
That happens in films.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, even after you shoot a great film, and it's a wonderful film, you like in the movie Glory, you see the kid with the digital watch waving. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Everybody missed that, but then now it's like, uh-oh.
It's like, well, whoops,
You know, hey, whoopsie.
Yeah.
You know, again, shout out to Ryan on Screen Rant.
Yeah.
But anyway, just what I didn't think was bad, but I thought was annoying, that the Trident thing, just not, you know, whatever. The now the World War II thing, which didn't happen. The cannons shooting in the city towards the people escaping, towards Aquaman and Mira. Was it Mira?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the city be blown up with these giant?
They were missing because they weren't hitting them. Yeah, they were missing. So like, where did the
rounds go? It's firing into the city. I understand the cannons pointing out of the city.
Yes.
I don't understand them firing into the city. I don't get that. I understand the ship shooting, but even the ships shooting behind them, they're dodging out of the way. They're going to hit other buildings.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, I get if you're shooting up, it's going to go up. It's a torpedo type thing or whatever. I'm just going to fine, no problem. So again, that's kind of like what happened in the city. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And the rest, I'm not going to worry about the other stuff. But the big one that I mentioned, you were like, oh my God, that's a good point. Now, you got this. You going to bring this picture up?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the lighthouse in the movie that Aquaman's parents are at for part of his life, right? Now, in a part of the movie where, you know, before Aquaman decides to go and challenge the king and do all this other stuff, he sends all this trash back out on shore and kicks out basically every ship, because you see later in the news footages of all these ships that washed up on shore. Oh, wait, bring it back. Where'd it go?
No, I was gonna let it.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Yeah,
this thing is huge. Now, can you go back to the lighthouse scene?
Yeah, I was going to like show them because I don't have it pulled up yet. So
okay.
I was going to show them what you were actually talking about. But the
lighthouse scene is like, okay, the lighthouse is right on the coast. Look, there's a ship right there.
Yeah.
That the truck gets washed over. The lighthouse is on the coast. The guy walks down to the dock, which is right on the coast where the Nicole Kidman's character left, right there.
Right.
Why didn't the lighthouse get washed away by the giant tidal wave? Why didn't the dock get washed? I mean, okay, let's say the building. Let's say people are, well, you know, the lighthouses are built strong. What about the house? The house is a house.
Yeah.
I get lighthouses can be built stronger. I get that. There's some actually
at least the dock or something to be washed away.
The dock should have been destroyed. The house should have been damaged.
Yeah.
None of that happened. It was a giant tidal wave. You saw that. It was crazy. This is sitting right on the water.
And like
that bugged the crap out of me. I'm like, no, you can't. I know it's a science fiction movie. I get it. I mean, heck, even the stormy water is almost washing up the house.
But they showed other destruction.
They showed
stuff
the
like
cities
that.
And they showed a cruiser or a destroyer sitting in a city.
Yeah. So I'm saying like you show other destruction, like so you've already established rules that hey, this stuff can get damaged, but the lighthouse was fine.
And they weren't far from the lighthouse because they just went into town.
Right.
They were at a bar in town, and they're driving back, and then you see that the road is up a little bit on the cliffside. Not, you know, it's not like 20 feet up in the air, but it's not right on the water either. So the wave hit that and over it.
Right.
Because when she freezes the water, it's a good what? Well, when it hits him, it's a good almost 10, 20 feet above him. Because there's there's a Coast Guard ship or something. I'm assuming like a Coast Guard ship. It's a big ship, like a cutter or something. I mean, you know, so that would have to be at least 10 feet high, and that's above the truck.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 20 feet of water-ish, maybe?
Right.
But nothing hits this?
Nothing hits the...
I just don't...
Well, it hits the lighthouse, but nothing happens to it. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing. You don't put a lighthouse away from the water because it's right there.
Right.
The lighthouses typically would stick out where the ship would see, oh, be careful because there's rocks here.
Right.
Or, hey, this is the entrance to the harbor. So it might be tucked away into the harbor, but if the giant tidal wave is going to come and destroy the town in the harbor, it's going to hit that.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I don't know. But anyway, that's
Exactly.
weird. I don't know. So that bugged the crap out of me. But
Yeah.
overall, that was the only nitpicky things or the
Only problems you saw.
critical things I saw that I was annoyed with it. Was the movie fun? Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a good.
a lot of fun.
It was a popcorn movie. It was one of the better DC movies. You know, right on par with I think Wonder Woman. I think really.
Okay.
Overall enjoyment. The CGI was pretty good. The effects were really good. The underwater effects were interesting.
Yeah.
Because they had to kind of like make it look like you were underwater or something. I don't know if you really needed to do that, but yeah, it wasn't terrible. It didn't take away from the movie so much.
Right.
It was fun. The jokes were cool. I didn't really understand some of the things. I'm like, well, if he's bulletproof, why does he need the subway hats to block more bullets? Like you said,
Yeah.
maybe it just hurt.
Yeah.
You know, one bullet like ow, a bunch of bullets like ow, ow, ow. And maybe, you know.
Yeah, and it's possible. You know, it probably doesn't feel good or whatever. But I would have to see that scene again because, like I said, like it's more fresh in your memory than it is mine. So like I might be just remembering things out of order and stuff like that. So I'd have to go back and watch it again, which I totally would.
And then the big CGI battle at the end, which was great, visually wonderful. Oh, it was really cool. I'm trying to figure out like the giant kraken creature that was guarding the trident that Aquaman got eventually because he was able to prove he was worthy or not worthy or whatever.
Yeah, it comes out.
Who came out to help was actually killing the other crustacean kingdom that was trying to not be subjected or destroyed by the bad guy, which the good guys were kind of destroying.
Yeah,
and I'm like you're not really helping me out here.
I'm on your side. Stop.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, because first of all, those people were kind of crab people.
Yeah.
They didn't really, I didn't see a lot of swimming. I saw a lot of walking across, and she was bursting out of the earth, like, just destroying all of them. And I'm like, is she helping? Whose side is she on? Why didn't she stay there? Stay in the Jurassic Park area. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that part I was just like, okay, what?
Yeah. That's legit. That's legitimate. It's legitimate. I caught it too. So it was there. From what I remember, like I said, it's been a little bit for me, but from what I remember, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I liked how they set up the world, like how they built it, and it was just kind of like they built it in such a way that when you see sharks with lasers on them and people riding them, you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure,
sharks with lasers.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll go with that. It's like they built it in such a way, like, okay, these are the rules of this world. Let's go.
And they have freaking sharks with laser beams attached to their heads.
Yeah, that Austin Powers. No, Dr. Evil's dream, right? So I'm like, hey, look. I mean, I like the world building that they did. Sure. The action got violent at times. I'm not even gonna lie about that. It got more violent than I expected it to get. Where I was just like, oh, you're like, especially when Black Manta got hit. You know, he took that hit in the face, and I'm just like.
Exactly. I got to be honest. The fight with Aquaman, with him and Aquaman, I'm like, how's he still like? Because Aquaman is a superhuman.
Yes.
Is he pulling his punches? I mean, he threw the hats at a guy. You know, he died.
Yeah.
There's no way that guy's like, oh, I'm cool. I mean, I don't know. That just seemed like
I think that was part of that had to be the armor and stuff that he was wearing because he was wearing Atlantean armor when he was fighting Black Manta.
No. I meant earlier in the sub scene earlier because there was a fight and I'm like, okay, you just knocked him around. How are you not like?
I was gonna get to
ribs and things.
Yeah, so I was gonna get to that. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to address.
Yeah, I wanted to go for it because I'm like, okay,
just kind of going through like the things that I really liked at first. Like I said, just like you said, the effects. I did not expect this movie to look as good as it did.
Yeah, it looked great.
I did not expect that. I was actually expecting just because of how Wonder Woman wasn't that great with the effects. Justice League looked really bad, but I was like, oh, this is where all your money went.
They were saving their pennies. We gotta buy the good software, guys. Save up your money.
So I thought the cast was decent. For the most part, some of the cast was really good. I liked the dynamic and the I like the parallel between Ocean Master and Aquaman because Aquaman is very resentful of the people of Atlantis because they killed my mom because of their ways and stuff like that. And whereas Ocean Master saw that from the opposite way, no, this is our land, this is our rules. She died because your land, your people, you poisoned her, you did something to her or whatever. So yeah, she died because of you, not because of us, and they're just seeing the two sides of the of the argument kind of play out, stuff like that. They don't ever go into where it's like it's so deep, but I was like, I did appreciate seeing the layers of the villain and saying like, okay, yeah, he's not just your typical mustache twirling, evil guy who wants power. I was like, no, he has legitimate motives and everything, and he has, the CGI battle at the end was a lot of fun.
Sure.
The like I said, the fight scenes, the action in general, a lot of fun. What else did I really enjoy? I really enjoyed there was a certain like epicness to everything that was just it was so silly, it was cool. Just like Aquaman dropping down into the submarine and turns around, turns around. I'm just like, this is so silly, but it's cool.
You know what's funny? And actually that kind of in my brain just very quickly is when that every time that happened, it reminded me of the movie "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker." Yeah, with the guy who always got his own theme music. I'm like, that's funny because I was like, oh, that's hysterical. Yeah, that's
it was
so funny.
It was like there was a point at the end when Ocean Master was fighting Aquaman, and then Ocean Master jumps on one of the ships or whatever, and it's just like this slow motion pause, the cape flapping behind him, and I'm just like, this is like I don't know like I don't know how James Wan did it for like some of like the imagination that he had. I like that he really went for this just stylish, over the top, just really go for it. I like that he really did that.
Yeah.
The dialogue. Now here's where I'll say the dialogue with the Atlanteans. Now I know some people do have a problem with that. I don't, because I'm like, well, they're Atlantean. It's kind of like the same thing that I felt with Thor. In the first two Thor movies, I'm like, well, they're Asgardian. They're going to talk differently than I.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, fine, go with it.
Sure.
I did have a problem with when the humans started speaking weird. There is a moment where when the two are fighting, since you already brought that up, with Black Manta, before he's Black Manta.
Oh, yeah.
And they're fighting, and he just kind of like, I sailed the seven seas. Look at me. I'm like, why are you a pirate?
It's talk like a pirate day. He was just getting into the feel of it, man.
And it's just that one line, so I'm like,
why do you think?
James.
Wait. It was talk like a pirate day. Why do you think they attacked the ship on that day?
I guess so.
Talk like a pirate day.
I guess so. It's just like there's that. There's the whole deal with the knife. I'm just like, this probably would have been good in a flashback or something as he's looking at the knife, thinking about his father. I'm like, he's telling him, like, maybe recounting the story or something. This would have been good in a flashback, not so much in the middle of a heist.
Right.
Just saying there or whatever. So I had a little bit of a problem there when the people like us would speak weird. I was kind of like, all right, we're not all Atlantean,
right.
So like I did have a little bit of trouble there. Some of it felt a little bit off. There is a part where, and I'm sure like plenty of people have already brought this up, but there is a part in the movie where Black Manta pretty much becomes Iron Man for like a scene.
Well, but before that. You mean when he's putting it all together?
Because he's given the suit and everything.
Stuff, and he goes, well, I don't like that. I'm going to make it mine.
Yeah, and then he just goes in and he knows how to do this stuff.
Yeah, he starts taking apart, like, I don't know, some kind of plasma laser whatever technology.
Yeah, and it's
I'm like, is he a nuclear physicist?
Apparently he knows how to do this.
I don't think so, because it seems to me like he didn't go to any college because he was with his father plundering the seven seas.
Yeah.
like, how is he taking apart these complex?
Yes, exactly.
Basically, not alien from outer space, but alien to him technology.
Yeah,
that's very advanced. That he goes, well, I'll just take it apart and I'll put it on a helmet. And then it goes, oh, and the helmet split apart. He goes, well, I gotta get a better helmet or do something different. I'm like, no, what?
Yeah,
it'd be like me trying to take apart a laptop and go, I'm going to incorporate this technology and make it, a virtual reality headpiece that I can control, the interwebs with or something and create lasers out of my eyes. And like, what?
Yeah, there's just like there's nothing that established him early on
as
that
he was
a technical guy to at least just be like not even a genius, but at least like understand like, okay, yeah, I know how to work all these controls on this computer, like something on a submarine. Established that some way.
He stole the submarine.
Yeah,
we found out in the movie he steals the prototype.
Right.
I get. Okay, cool. He stole the prototype. Cool, no problem. Was there like all these manuals on the prototype that says, like nuclear plasma engineering for dummies. All this little, novels up there. I was like, oh, look at all these books for dummies. That's awesome. It's like technical manual how to operate the stealth submarine for dummies.
Yeah, it's like how to work with Atlantean armor or something. I'm like,
how to work with complex Gauss laser technology weapons that fire underwater that you can adapt to land. What?
Yeah, so that stuff like that was just really weird. I felt like if they would have just given him the suit as he has it, that would have just been fine. It made much more sense.
And just painted it.
Painted it black. Boom. Yeah, could have been white, painted it black. There you go. There's his suit.
Yeah.
There now, you had your thing that really bothered you in the movie, which was the lighthouse and everything.
Yeah,
which is bothering me now because you brought it up to me.
When you see the picture, it's like, how does that even work? The tidal wave would have been over the lighthouse.
Exactly.
Don't show a scene with his dad like putting the door back on or something. Having them help. I mean, again, you don't have to go and they don't have to show a whole house building a house.
Yeah,
but you can give the dad a little bit more. It's like, well, son, I got to get the house ready for when your mother returns. Something that because he's still got hope that she's going to come back. Well, son, I got to rebuild the dock because your mother said she'll meet me here on the sunrise one day.
Exactly.
Because he goes there every day. There's a motivation there. I don't know.
So here's where the movie. Like I said, enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
But there is this one aspect of the movie that just irritated me because it was the romantic comedy scene that the movie just screeched to a halt between Mira and Aquaman when they were in Italy, and they had like this little romantic music, and then like she's eating the rose and stuff like that, and I'm like, what are you doing? You had such good momentum up until this point, and it just screeched to a halt to have this romance that they don't have the chemistry for.
Right.
They have the chemistry to be like friends. Like I would see like the chemistry being more akin to Black Widow and Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, well, there's some kind of
maybe some tension.
There's some affection. There's some because I mean, Black Widow well, Steve's hunky.
Yeah,
he's strong, but he's kind of a Boy Scout. So you're looking at him like, he's a hunky guy, but he's kind of a Boy Scout. So you don't have the feeling, but you got a sense of love at least.
Yes.
In respect in some way. Not
exactly.
Maybe not a sexual tension love, kind of bordering on like, almost like friends with benefits, but not quite there.
Yeah.
Just because he's too goody two shoes.
Yeah. And
which again, Aquaman isn't, but at the same time, he kind of is. He's goofy.
Yes.
You know?
Like their dynamic was just never led up to that. So when seeing this was kind of like, it was so jarring and just like I said, the movie just screeched to a halt for this that I was so happy when something blew up at that, just interrupted it. I'm just like, thank you.
Well, and here's the thing. If you didn't have exposition, there better darn well be an explosion to make something change.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you know what's funny? The flower scene reminded me a little bit of this of like Splash, when you know what I mean?
That's the movie I was trying to think of.
Okay, the mermaid girl who was on land didn't understand, but yet the flower scene, she's eating the flowers, but she gives the girl a coin, which is kind of one of the goofs. Like, how does she understand how wishing wells work?
Exactly.
And I'm like,
exactly.
I didn't think about it either, but I was like, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, but although it's funny because she managed to wave her hand just matter of fact and all these water dances thing, but then in the desert she's like, hold still, I gotta get water.
Yeah. Yeah. But then it was like,
I gotta drop. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I get
could have spit on it or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
He said, well, I could have peed on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
so why did it take so hard to get water out of him? Because no offense, if you can pee on it, because even though you might be dehydrated, and I will have to say this, they were basically invulnerable because they jumped out of a plane and hit the ground.
Yeah.
So they're just invulnerable, I guess, or something. They didn't go, ow. They jumped, and he goes, woo, you're crazy. I'm like, what? Okay.
That's the one time that I was just kind of like, all right, look, I understand Atlantean skin. Like, I've known this like from the comic lore. It's tough.
Sure.
It's dense. It's just like you can, like I say, try to hit it with a knife or whatever. Anything of that we have, shoot it. They might feel it, but they might not like it. But I'm like,
but even so, you're falling from a plane.
You jumped out of a plane.
You're flying at 9.8 meters per second.
Yeah, I'm like, this is.
Could you not get the wind knocked out of you, or you're? Well, I mean, and here's the other thing that I thought was weird. When they went the transition between air and water, they didn't have to expel their lungs, although the king did in the battle at the end. But they never did. I'm like, what? Didn't he?
I don't remember.
I think he did. I think when he came up out of the water, he was like, expelling the water out of his lungs. But I never saw Aquaman or the girl, because she got on land a few times and never did that. I'm like, okay,
no, Aquaman never did that. I mean, Aquaman never did that. She never did that because she just walked straight up out of the, which I thought was funny. She just like walked up right out of the water, like nothing was wrong. Yeah, nothing happened.
I'm like, okay, but if you're underwater, do you not breathe the water in and do the?
I don't understand the logistics of it, like because they don't have gills. Yeah, they don't have gills, but I guess there's some type of magic or something from the way Willem Dafoe's character was explaining. There was some type of magic that just allowed them to.
They can breathe. They talk can underwater, breathe and talk. But don't really breathe the water. But
yeah, like the
or somehow.
Yes.
Which again, I'm not fighting. You don't have to have gills or anything. But I just thought it was weird that I think again I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments wherever they might be.
Yeah, please do.
Let us know, because I seem to remember, and again, I've seen it, more recent than he has. But I want to say when the king came out of the water at the last battle scene, when he came out, he kind of expelled water out of his lungs, and then they fought. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened. I could be mistaking that with one of the soldiers who had the water in his suit. I might be. I apologize. I just seem to remember that seemed something. But again, not a big deal. It just was unusual.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those like. If it is an error, it's a logical error that would need to be.
And I will say this other thing: they did show the Black Manta putting the suit thing together and blasting and the lasers, and I got to be at a stronger helmet. But he was able to figure that out. Whereas at the end,
the scientist
guy who would know more seemed to know less.
Yes.
Because he knew, he was like, oh, I know there's all these people, and you can't tell me I know this stuff. But then he seemed more inept at it than the Black Manta did, even though he never had access to that technology until recently, like a couple of days before that, or a week, or however long it was.
Exactly.
I was like, that's kind of odd to me. But overall, the kind of the minor things. Although the tidal wave, other than that, I was cool with it. I had fun with it. There were some great scenes with the Deep Kingdom or whatever they were, those ravenous sea creatures on the ship and everything. And when they jump to the light and you see all of them coming, that was a great,
genuinely scary. I mean, that was James Wan showing off his horror directing right there.
Really good. I was like, holy crap! Those things were scary. Was good. I know it was CGI, but doggone, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. A lot of just man. And you know what? Because Zack Snyder was kind of like had his hand in it a little bit too, so I can see where some of like that epicness probably was able to they were able to get together and really like, okay, how would you probably shoot this? I'm like, yeah, I can see where Zack probably had a little bit of a hand in it and stuff like that, because creating those epic, I would say epic comic book panel poses where you would see it like, okay, this would be in a panel, like freeze frame it, that's a comic panel right there. So, and Zack, for better or worse, has always been really good at that. So, I say like overall, it's a very enjoyable movie. It's very silly. It's very epic.
Oh yeah.
It's how do I say it? Like the way I kind of always I described it when I read another reviewer, and he said like, man, it's just like anime. It's like if it's just like live action anime done right, because we haven't done that yet, but live action anime done just in such a way that's just like, man, you're just so entertained by this. It's not like, it's not super deep or anything like that. Don't expect that. It is a very much a fun popcorn movie, and it goes for it. It knows what it is, and it just kind of stays.
When the character's standing, he turns around like
I was like,
every time he lifts his head up, and that heavy metal music guitar riff play.
Yeah, it knows exactly what it is, and it just kind of goes for it and has fun and has a ball with it. Sure. It was probably, and dare I say it is probably the most committed DC movie that I've seen, because DC has its own problems. That's for another video. But I'm just saying, like, it is the most committed because from start to finish, like I said, for that little romantic comedy scene, like from start to finish, this thing committed to what it was. So I would definitely say that much. As far as where I would probably put it, I'd probably say, yeah, on the same level as Wonder Woman. I still like Man of Steel the most. I still think that is the best movie that's come out from them so far. But yeah, I would still say like this one, like Man of Steel has its own. It's so different. It's so different, and like I know a lot of people were just like, "Oh, it's like Star Wars." Oh, well, actually, it's like Thor, or it's like this. It's like this. I'm like, well, maybe it's just unique enough to like it's like it has elements from other things. I'm like, man, it might just be its own thing, you know. So I would not be surprised if they did another sequel. If they did a sequel to this, I mean, it made over $1 billion.
This is one of their biggest moneymakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I think it was so done in such a way that it wasn't taking itself too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of winking at us at the same time. Didn't really break the fourth wall.
Exactly.
Obviously didn't like wink to the camera.
Yeah.
But he kind of did in some of the scenes. I don't know. So I think it was done right. And again, it was just a fun popcorn movie. I mean, this one would rule the summer, I think, unless something, really majorly came out.
Right.
I mean, it's still making money. It's still out. Still making money. So it's still beating movies that have been out.
Yeah, I mean,
that are just coming out that are like, I think it's going to beat Glass maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
Let's see.
Probably.
Because like I said, when we went into Glass, theater, there was like
nobody there.
Nobody in the theater. There was like 2 people and a baby or something.
3 men and a baby.
Yeah, 3 men and a baby in there, and then 2 of the men were us. So yeah, we pretty much had the theater to ourselves. There was a lot of people at the theater in general that I saw. I mean, we literally nighttime show. We went in. And then we got right to the front of the line and got our food.
Exactly.
Like, wow.
Exactly.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. AMC, like I said, Thursday I went to go see Dragon Ball Z, the Super Broly movie. That was a packed theater.
Wow.
That was a packed theater. Wow. Yeah, that was super packed. Like I barely got seats.
Wow.
Yeah, barely got seats to see it. Like the lines were long and stuff like that. So I know that's probably most likely where everyone is. And like I said, also Netflix Punisher came out yesterday, actually, as we're recording this yesterday. Yep. So yeah, cool. Good fun movie.
Hey, Aquaman's a good fun splash. Good dip in the pool there. The water's just right. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Didn't mean to hit the mic there. The water's just right. It's not too hot. You're like, oh. It's not too cold. Like, whoa. It's just right.
Just right.
Yep.
All right. So
and it's not over your head. So you don't have to learn it. You can stand up or you can float. It's cool. Yeah. It's exactly. Not like it's not the kiddie pool. It's like your ankles are getting wet. It's just right. It's just right.
Exactly.
What you say?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good analogy.
I mean, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a hard, thought-provoking film about whatever. It's just a fun, silly, science fiction-y, comic booky, animation, almost like movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like you said, the underwater scenes, the Atlantean. I mean, the city was beautiful.
Oh yes,
the city underwater very beautiful. The underwater ruins were cool. The Jurassic Park thing was a little weird, but and then like the undersea thing with the crags and they're being chased. And that was just really. There was a lot of it. It was really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally enjoyable.
All right. So that's gonna wrap it up for this long video, guys. Woo! I got 4 reviews, just about. 4 reviews worth anyway, and I'm just like, man. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you, William, for always being our co-host and everything. And like I said, if you always want to keep up with us, you can always follow us on that wonderful social media, because I know all y'all got it. Just follow us on Facebook and Instagram at McBlam Entertainment. Follow us on Twitter at McBlamENT. Want to follow me personally? Follow me on Twitter at Mr. McBlam.
Don't really follow him because that's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not nefarious with it, I think I'll be all right. I wouldn't, you can follow me around. You'll probably have to answer some questions or something like that. I might make you hold the groceries when I go upstairs and stuff like that, but just letting you know.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. No.
But yeah, follow me on Instagram at McBlam. Oh, sorry, at Mikey McBlam. How about yourself, William? Where are we going to find something funny?
Look at my face. Well, check us out on the IC Improv Comedy on the Twitters, and on Facebook at I.C.Improv.
That's right.
And that's how you can contact us on the Facebooks. Like our page. Come see us at a comedy show if you're in East North Carolina. We're going to be, like I said, you got the dates. We're going to be the eastern part of North Carolina, in Hertford on February 9th. The 15th, we're going to be in the town of Winterville at the Moose Lodge. They're going to have dinner, so it's a pricey, you know, like I think it's $20 to get in, but they're going to feed you. I think your girlfriend or your wife or whoever you come with can get a flower there or something.
Oh, yeah.
So
about that.
yeah, they're gonna feed you there. So it's like a whole like a dinner theater thing. On February 23rd, we'll be at the Turnage Theater at Arts of Pamlico in the original Washington, where our original home is. And come see us there. We're a family-friendly show, PG-13-ish. It's improv, so you never know what the audience is going to suggest.
Never know what's
so
going to happen.
we you know we do double entendres, and we do the nudge nudge wink wink thing, and the audience gets it. It's improv. We create it right there in front of your eyes. Which again, we've always said improv. Now, first of all, I total respect for stand-up comedians. I have no problem with them. I have no fight with them. But at the same time, they practice a lot.
Yep.
We don't. I mean, we practice the games and kind of the thing. In fact, we haven't practiced much because we've been doing it so long.
Right.
We don't really need to. But, it'd be cool to do it. But just everybody's kind of everywhere.
Exactly.
So we get together, when we can.
Yep.
And we do the comedy show. And the audience yells out a suggestion. And we do something with it. And it's, not everybody's cup of tea. They go, well, I'd rather see jokes. But we have punchline games, and we have scene games, and we have strange audience interaction things with the phone. Like two people can say only what's on the Twitter or the
text messages,
and one person says anything. So that's funny. The audience usually gets a kick out of it.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And you say stuff like, well, you get better success if you put dough urine on that, because that's one of the first shows we did, and I still remember that because the guy gave us, it was I guess a hunter. And that's what he said, and we were like, "Wow!" And the audience just died, especially him, because he was like, "Oh my god," in that scene, and someone was like, "Why do you keep doing?" or something. It was just bizarre, but it's always weird and funny.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
always
whose line is it anyway? We're just like whose line, only we get paid less, and we're not professionals. But it's funnier because it's live.
Exactly.
So we mess up, you laugh at us even more.
Exactly.
And we play the mistakes. We can't edit and cut it out like you can on the TV shows.
That's right. That's right.
We have booze. You can check that out too. They don't have that on Whose Line. I'm just saying.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Movie Monday for your movies on a Monday here on the Real Cast podcast on McBlam Entertainment, bringing a little bit of enjoyment to your day every day. And if you want in on the enjoyment, you can either subscribe to our YouTube channel or go visit us on McBlamEntertainment.com.
Yes. Give the thumbs up. Give us
comments, feedback,
comments.
all
Comment
welcome.
on stuff we asked you to comment on. Try to be nice. I mean, correct us if we're wrong.
Civil.
Civil. Yeah, I mean, you kind of go, well, you're being a little harsh on it. I go, yeah, okay, fine. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm just saying how I feel, and he's saying how he feels, and you can tell us how you feel. But just, be nice. I didn't call no one called and used names. You know? Just be nice.
No, yeah, this is a good crowd though. This is a good crowd, but bigger the channel gets, stuff like that. You never know who comes over.
Well,
and
like
stuff,
some of the from IMDb, some of the things are like, it's horrible. I'm like,
exactly.
Okay, you're pulling apart a little too much. Even though we didn't like bits and pieces, but like overall, it's still fun.
Yes.
Although we didn't give it like a rating of 2 because we're like, well, this is dumb, and didn't really say,
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Some of the things they said was just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And you can always count on us to be fair. We're always going to be fair.
Sure.
So, all right, guys. So that'll be it. We will see you next time.